stars from Rockets Wire, and just generally speaking, uh, what do we used to call you? The Black Mark Berman. Mark Berman been gone long enough now to where I don't even know if we can say that. We just got to call it, Big Sarge or Big Sarge Media and all your different endeavors, my man. But I want to say I appreciate your time and ask you, man, how you feeling today?
Hey man, I'm feeling good, brother. I can't complain at all. First of all, thank you for having me on the block with B Scott. Hey man, this is an honor and a pleasure. Look, I even got dressed up for it, man. Look,
Hey,
hey, at the end of this, there will be ties and offering. Okay, so you know what I'm saying, and we're getting ready to move here soon. So like, can y'all donate to the building fund as well?
hey, 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 the building fund. We're gonna do a second offering. We're gonna do a benediction. We're gonna do an altar call. We're gonna do everything decent and in order around here, man. But
Hey,
nah,
hold on, we got plates,
oh,
chicken and fish plates in the back.
oh yeah, we got fish plates in the back. We got whatever you need. It's real banana pudding, not that banana pudding that they try to sell you at the store,
Wait,
but it's
B.
somebody really didn't put they time and effort into. It's peach cobbler back there. I know
Hold on,
you
B. I
don't. I
gotta
know you
ask
don't
you
like
though.
sweet potato pie. I know you don't like sweet potato pie, but it's back there.
I do not like sweet potato pie. That is gross. Hey, but B, hold on one second. That is the sweet potato pie is terrible. I don't understand how that became a staple in the black community or at functions. But B, I gotta ask you, right? Our friendship, our brotherhood depends on this, whether you answer it right or not.
All right,
Yellow cake with chocolate icing or lemon cake in the plate?
yellow cake with chocolate icing
Or
or
lemon
or
cake?
lemon cake in the plate. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I got a sweet tooth. I'm gonna tell all of that. I'm gonna have it all touch. I'm gonna have the mac and cheese and the yams touching on that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go lemon cake. I'm gonna go lemon.
And you know what, B, I ain't gonna even lie to you. There is no wrong answer because I like both, but because I'm older than you, because I was born in the 1900s, because I was born in the 1900s, B, I gotta go yellow cake with chocolate icing, man.
Okay.
That's just like that's a old school cake right there. But you go to
Yeah.
somebody's house and they be like, "Hey man, my mom made a cake for real. What kind? Go look, because that's when they used to have the cake containers.
Yeah.
When you lift
Yeah.
that up, you see that yellow cake with that chocolate ice. Well, you gonna see what it is before you get there because the chocolate icing all on the top.
Hey.
You open it up, you see that knife that's been in there for about 2 days.
Yeah. About 2 days, and that knife older than you, probably. That
Exactly.
that knife didn't
Exactly.
make that knife didn't cut so many different cakes you don't even want to imagine. Hey, you talk about used to have the whole the cake plate or tray or whatever. We still got that. My auntie still she still make her pound cake in that.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that's what it is. We got a couple of people too. Senior Buble, and shout out to him for being in the chat. Says yellow cake with chocolate icing. Man, he was quick to answer that. Now you right, you right. That is definitely the old school, old Baptist church in the back. Where it's even hotter back there. You can find the yellow cake with the chocolate ice, and I'm definitely with that, man. Ooh, man, we losing recipes though. I wonder how my no eating children would have answered that question. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
For
For
sure. But
sure. Hey, look, gone are the days of crock pot meals.
oh boy,
They call what is it? Instapot now. I was like, no, they ain't nothing but a crock pot, man.
man, I'm trying to tell you, man, these kids and these crock pots done got so damn lazy. Um, you know what I'm thinking about the air fryer. I'm
Yeah,
thinking about the air fryer, man. My kids will just throw everything in the damn air fryer.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
but yeah, man, look, so we got these playoffs, man, and of course, we just covered a series that did not go, I think, the way a lot of us saw it going. At least for the Rockets, maybe Lakers fans thought that this is how it was going to go, but a lot of us on this side thought it was going to go a lot different, man. Before I get your reaction to what we've seen from the Rockets, and of course, we were there at Toyota Center earlier in the week talking to Rockets general manager Rafael Stone, head coach Ime Udoka. Got to kind of get the lay of the land and the feel for what this off season is supposed to look like, and also their reflection on how this past season went. But I want to know from you, man, how has it been these last couple of days being able to watch some stress-free NBA basketball? I know you and your wife went out to check out the Aces out in Austin. It looked like they were at the Moody Center playing the Wings.
Yeah.
You got to get a little WNBA action. You're getting to watch some before things really pick up with football season again, right? You're getting to
Sure.
watch a little bit of NBA basketball. What do it look like when Big Sarge get to put his feet up and not have to work the room as much?
I get a lot of husband to-do lists. I gotta go and look because
Honeydews.
right. I'll come in and put some stuff down, this, that, and another. Then I be like, oh shit, I gotta go clean that up and clean that up. So now it's a lot of just straightening up, a lot of dusting. But what it really is, I'm gonna be honest with you. I told my wife because we had a fabulous weekend. That was the first time I've been able to spend time with her like that. In a very long time when it was just us two together on Saturday and Sunday. I told her, I said, now you can go back to work on Monday and tell them you got your adult child back. Because I know I be getting on her nerves. I be doing this, like getting her face sometimes like this, like, as long as I don't touch it, as long as I don't touch it, as long as I don't touch it. But man, look, I downtime for me, is a lot of bad movie watching on Prime, on Amazon Prime, a Prime Video, whatever it's called. A lot of bad movie watching on Netflix. But what I've really gotten into, because people think that when we're away from sports, all we do is think about sports. No, they have this guy on Netflix. On YouTube. Excuse me. They got this guy on YouTube, that he goes and he busts the scammers. And so they'll have these call centers that'll be using like these the computer antiviruses software to say, hey, you got to update your software. We need access to this, that, and other. Oh, we overcharged you. We need you to send that back. And then when you send it back, they get into your account. They steal all your money. Well, they have this guy that goes in and scams the scammer. So he'll go in and remote into their computers or into their cell phones or this, that, and other. I'm obsessed with it, man. I'm watching because it's funny watching a scammer get scammed. And then they start talking, like one woman was praying. I was like, what are you praying for? You've been scamming people this whole time. So watching that type of stuff, a lot of 90 Day Fiance, because that's what my wife likes. A lot of love after lockup, love during lockup, love in the love during probation, love during detention. It's all kind of shows out there now. My wife, Love Island, all this stuff that I'm saying to myself, as long as she likes it, I love it. So it's a lot of downtime for me because I've been running since July. Like I've been running since July, which is one of the reasons why I had to give up covering the Astros, man, because my wife one day said she wanted to do something. She said, but let me check the schedule to see if you're going to be available or not. When I heard that, I said, oh no, I'm good with that. Let's go.
Yeah, man. I feel what that's like, man. Sometimes you got to make some decisions, man, because you can't. Eventually you're just gonna stretch yourself too thin, and you burn the candle on both ends, and it just ain't enough hours in the day to do everything as much as we like to or try to do it. So, but I'm right there with you on the alternate type of content. Let me tell you, man. Last summer, my girl got me into Love Island, right? And I was already familiar with Love Island, had dropped in on it a little bit, but last year I really locked in.
Yeah.
And I locked in so bad that I locked in even more than she did. and by the end of it, I was watching, I kid you not, because they told me, hey, this is season 6 or season 7 or whatever it was, but the previous season was the better season.
Yeah.
So Sarge, I'm sitting up there watching Love Island, the updated episodes as they come through. But then in between time, as we waiting on the next episode, I'm watching last year's Love Island just so I can be hip to what she sees. Like, oh, this season not as good as last season. Last season was the best. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm down with this season. I love this season. So if I love this one, I know I love that one. If it's supposed to be better, got into it so hard, Sarge, I kid you not, bro. I'm watching Beyond the Villa. They got a Beyond. So it's basically like life after Love Island. So like them in the real world. And it is terrible. terrible to the point to now, like I'm doing the thing that I kind of lament other people doing, which is hate watching. Like you ain't got to hate watch. You can just turn away and find something that you like. Man, I've been hate watching Beyond the Villa since last year. They got another Beyond the Villa now with the crew from last year, right?
Yeah.
And now my girl not even watching it. She not watching it. Be honest. I'm watching it, reporting back. Like, can you believe they got Hannah on there? Hannah wasn't even involved. She didn't even have no big storyline before, and now she the star of Beyond the Villa, and they don't even have the main. It's bad, bro. It's bad. So you right about that alternate content that is not sports that get you kind of caught up.
I know we got to start, but I got to say this: the one show that one show that I hate watch and I can't. It's one of the dumbest shows ever. What's the one where they be falling in love, talking through the wall?
Oh, Love is Blind, or yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, Love is Blind.
That's one of the worst shows ever. Because
my girl be locked in.
You know what I really want to, because it's weird that I'm talking to you through the wall. I might as well just keep texting. If I can text you, I'll call you on the phone, but I'm talking to you through a wall. And then what happens when the cameras is off and you be like, hey, meet me at the wall by 12.
Yeah. Hey,
what are y'all doing at the wall now?
Yeah. Hey, it's like, hey, I know a little spot where the camera's not at.
Right.
I done peeped all the cameras. I know where we can meet up at.
But you can't get past the wall. So, you know what I'm saying? Now it's just weird to me, bro, that you're talking to somebody and you falling in love with somebody through the wall. I'm good.
It's absolutely insane. Sure. It's absolutely insane. And then they be in there really acting like they falling in love. Like I've never felt this way about somebody. Right. Man, you don't know me, man.
At all, you fall in love with a voice.
Come on now.
Hey, speaking of voice, have you seen Michael Jackson movie yet?
I did.
I haven't seen it yet. We're going this weekend.
Okay, so go. I'm glad you asked me about that because I do have a take about the Michael Jackson movie that is not going to spoil anything or give anything away. Not that we don't already. Bad because
Cody Davis will find you.
Nah, look. Well, Cody Davis is going to fall in the category of people that I'm talking about here, and he wouldn't dispute this. I'm taking my kids to see it tomorrow, right? I'm gonna pick them up from school. They're not gonna go to their after school program. I'm gonna pick them up, and then when school is over with, we're gonna all go because I went by myself, and they want to go. Okay. But this is my thing about the Michael Jackson movie. I just say it quickly and plain, and then we can get into some of the sports stuff. Excuse me. But the Michael Jackson movie is for two people. Okay. Mm-hmm. The Michael Jackson movie is for either someone who knows nothing about Michael Jackson. So not you, not me, not even Cody Davis in this sense. Like if you don't know nothing about Michael Jackson other than just maybe the songs or a little bit, you don't know nothing about his story, nothing, zero. Okay, you didn't see the movie from back in the day, The American Dream that came on BET 150 times a year. You didn't see none of that. You just know Michael Jackson was big time famous. Maybe you was a baby in 2009. Maybe you wasn't born in 2009. But if you don't know nothing about Michael Jackson, you're going to love this movie. Also, and this is where Cody Davis does fall in line. If you just love Michael Jackson, you love the performances, you love the vibes. Of course, it's his nephew that plays him. So he does an incredible job of portraying his uncle. From that standpoint, if you just love you some Michael Jackson or don't know nothing about Michael Jackson, you are going to love this movie. If you are somewhere in between, you already know quite a bit about Michael Jackson, and maybe you're a Michael Jackson fan, but you're not just like enamored like that, then you might have some questions. You might feel like it left a little bit to be desired. But at the end of the day, though, I actually did enjoy myself enough so to where I walked out of the movie not upset, and I'm even gonna go back and take my children. Yeah. So take that for what you will, but you know how it is, man. Critics, sure. You got to be, everything got to be a hot take. Everything got to be the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. It can't just be somewhere in between because that's not cool enough.
You just described Houston sports fans in a nutshell.
Speaking of which brings us into what brought us here today. And that's the Rockets. That's the Texans. And we'll start with the Rockets. I do want to go here since, you're doing this project with Fred VanVleet. Fred's had his podcast Unguarded. You joined a few months back. Very, very good addition. I think it's a much needed voice. A lot of times these these athletes have plenty to say, but they kind of need a professional or somebody that does talking for a living to kind of help either buffer or just add a different element to that. But on the court though, I'm curious from you, how did you feel like the Rockets handled the Fred VanVleet absence this year? Of course, there was a lot of talk about point guard play, moving Amen Thompson to that position, asking Reed Shepherd to have a greater role in Fred's absence. I think they were going to do that anyway. With him coming off the bench, he was going to have a greater role, but it was an even greater role after that when Fred went down right before training camp. From your vantage point as someone who followed, covered, and knows the players and was as close to the team as anybody who's not on the team, how did you feel like this team responded to Fred VanVleet's absence this past season?
I would say, B, if I had to give it a percentage, I'd probably say anywhere, probably about 60%. It's 60% because what's going to happen is people are going to go back and they're going to look at the win total and they're going to say match the win total from last year with Fred. And so you see a lot of these young players take that next step. And I say that 60% only because they were able to, get into the playoffs. They were able to sustain in a very, very competitive Western Conference division. Like in the Western Conference, it's kill or be killed over there, man. I mean, we're looking at it right now in the playoffs. You have a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves who, nobody expected to be where they are right now. They lost, Anthony Edwards was out throughout the year with a lot of injuries, and then he got injured in the last series. They lost DiVincenzo, then they lost another one of their key contributors. And I know it's still early. They only played one game, but they're one up on the team that some people have predicted to go to the NBA Finals in the San Antonio Spurs. And so for them to win the 52 games that they won, that is something to be commended. That is something, like I said, if I had 60 votes, if I had 60 votes for NBA Coach of the Year, I would have gave Ime Udoka at least 2 of them to be able to survive the entire year without a point guard. With that being said, 60% is what I give them. They should have been at 80%. And I don't like the way that Fred's injury happened so early that you could have made the necessary changes to bring in a point guard. I know you may not have the money to go out and get the type of point guard that you wanted, but there was some out there that you could have done. There's some things I felt like that could have been done to bring in a point guard. And even when, I don't know what CP3's price was. I don't know, what he would have wanted or what he would have required to come to the city of Houston, but I probably would have asked because there was no true point guard on that team. And B, when you don't have a true point guard on that team, you get to seeing sometimes where they give up that historic lead like they did in overtime against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They lose an 18-point game they had an 18-point lead in the fourth quarter against the New York Knicks, and they lost that game. You lose to teams like the Sacramento Kings, and you lose to teams that you're not supposed to, because now you're asking, and look, I know we're going to talk about Amen Thompson here a little bit later on, but B, one of the reasons why I love Amen Thompson is because he does exactly what he does and performs wherever they ask him to be and whatever they ask him to do. When Amen thrived in that dunker spot last year, that's the first time he's ever really played off the ball his entire basketball career. He had played point guard all the way up to that point, and we've seen how he thrived in that dunker spot. This year, you ask him now, hey, man, we're going to need you to play point guard. Well, I don't know if we can actually judge Amen off of him playing point guard in the NBA after not playing point guard in the NBA. This is his first time. So this is like his rookie season at the point guard position. As I digress, they could have done more, I felt like, to go out and get a true point guard. Reed Shepherd is not a true point guard, and I think that because of his size and stature, they want to make him a point guard. I feel like Reed Shepherd is a shooting guard, but that's just me. I've never been a general manager or head coach in the NBA. So, B, With that being said, I think that 60% is what I'll give them without Fred VanVleet.
All right, so since you mentioned the men, let's go ahead and get into that, because that's basically the follow-up question on how they handle things, right? And Amen Thompson, an incredible player who does not have an outside shot, also up for a possible extension this all season. Where are you at with his development? And I just want to say before I ask you this question, I did a video right here on this channel yesterday about Amen Thompson and the extension and the report that's out there. Our guy Will Guillory at The Athletic had written a report that said, Amen is likely due for a 5-year, $250 million extension, which I know that's a big number. And for a lot of people, when you say a guy doesn't have a jump shot, you're like, well, wait a minute, you're going to give $50 million a year to somebody who can't shoot? And I went out on a limb yesterday, Sarge, and said, you know what? Not based off of the production so far yet, per se, but a lot of this is projection. When you sign a guy to an extension, especially a big money extension like that, you are projecting what you think the guy can and will be over the life of the contract, not necessarily what he has been up to this point. Now, that's giving you the information, right? You're using that as the information for you to make that projection, but you are largely making a projection. And my argument was based on projection, based on development, based on improvement, and the idea that Amen is made of all of the right stuff and is incredibly talented. I would take the risk. All right. I do think that he's worth the risk, even though I'm acknowledging that it is a massive risk to pay somebody that amount of money and they don't have a jump shot yet. Okay. So with that being said, I want to ask you, where are you at with Amen's development right now? What do you love about his game? And what would you like to see him work on and get better at, so he is worth that figure that it looks like he's probably going to get?
Okay, B, can you table that question? Come back to me with that question real quick. And the reason why I say that, and I know I hate people who do this too. Why are you answering the question with a question, Sarge? Why? I hate people who do me like that, but I got to do you like this, B. Are we judging, before I give my answer, are we judging him based off of the fact that we now live in a 3-point shooting contest in the NBA? Are we saying he doesn't have a jump shot, or we just saying he doesn't have a 3-point shot, a 3-pointer? He can't shoot the three.
I mean, honestly, he doesn't have enough of any of it. Like, he obviously can't shoot the three at all, really. Like, if you look at the percentages, but even I would say his mid-range game
got a whole lot better.
It got a whole lot better, but I needed to be like not automatic. That's unfair, but you know what I mean. I needed to be one of those things that you could like run an offense through. Like, it to me, it was too touch and go. The 3-point shot is just not there at all, and yeah, I'm actually okay with that, But what I need when you talk about that mid range, I need him to be I think I called it a mid range demon. I said I need him to be a mid range demon.
DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, something along those lines. I had eyes for him being like I said, could he be Ja Morant in Kawhi Leonard's body? Something like that, or some version of Kawhi Leonard. Landry is in here asking a funny question. He's trying to be a smart ass in here. He say, who is a better shooter, Amen Thompson or Eric Snow? I'll hang up and listen. Look, I get the joke. And Landry's not the only person making it. A lot of people are making these jokes about Amen Thompson's jump shot. But my thing is, if Bruh can average 18 points a game in the NBA, in the National Basketball Association, this bruh is averaging 18 points a game with no real consistent jump shot to speak of, no 3-point shot at all. And even the mid-range game, sometimes it's there. More than anything, Sarge, I'll say this about Amen. It's not even that he just doesn't have the mid. With Amen, it seems like he just does not know. He does not always seem to know what he's capable of, or what his powers are, or exactly.
What 4 years? This is 4th year.
This will be he will be going into his 4th year. So he's finished his 3rd year. Yeah. And so he's still figuring out exactly what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. You can see some indecision in some of his play. You can see some, Ime talks to us a lot about them dribbling into a crowd, right? That was an issue for them last year. It's an issue for them this past year, right? The Jalen Green version of them. the Amen Thompson version of him. This has been an issue for these young players dribbling into crowds. If you pack the paint on them, they don't always really know what to do, don't always necessarily have the counters. And that's what I want to see from Amen Thompson is that he knows what spot he's trying to get to, and he knows what he's trying to do when he gets to the spot. Right now, he is just operating off of a straight ability, talent, work ethic, and all of that, right? But like when Stone said the other day that they weren't as, going back to that point guard question that I asked you, that they weren't as skilled as he would have liked.
Yeah,
man, if they could have just added some of that to what bruh has already got, they would have really been cooking. So that's what I want to see from a man, is more decisiveness and more reliability with that mid-range game, because I think he can be. He's not elite in that way yet, and I think he can be,
because he started shooting inside the paint a whole lot more than he had, especially last season. But B, I want to ask you. I want to say this, and then I'm going to ask you a question. So we're judging a man. Can we truly say where has a man played consistently over the last 2 years? Let's just take away his rookie year. Where over the last 2 years has he played anywhere consistently? Last year they had him in the dunker spot. This year they're asking him to be on the ball. And so you're asking so much of this young man because he is a freak athlete, and because he does play the game at a high level, and because he can do so many things on the court. So last year you take him and you say, we're going to just put you in the dunker spot. So all we need you to do is stay in that area, rebound. We need you to cut to the basket. We need you to be effective in that spot. So there has been no consistency when it comes to Amen Thompson on the offensive end. And so what I seen from him this year was him become more aggressive, as far as even if he's not getting to the rim, he's starting to realize that if they're going to sag and they're going to stay at the rim, I'm going to take more shots inside of the paint. And so we've seen him taking a lot more shots inside of the paint. Sometimes I didn't like the fact that he'll get downhill and then stop and then kick it out, or whatever the case may be. If you're going to go, just finish. You're probably the best athlete on the floor at the time when you're in the game. So there's no consistency to me. I also think that we live in a 3-point shooting society when it comes to watching basketball. I'll never forget, a couple of months back, my wife and I was sitting on the couch watching a basketball game, man, NBA game. And my wife said, how come they keep driving to the basket, and instead of laying the ball up or shooting the ball right there, they keep kicking it out? I said, because basketball isn't the basketball you're watching now isn't the basketball you or I grew up watching. It's analytics now. So, hey, shoot the three, no matter if you miss it or not. Even though you may have the easiest shot here, it is nothing but a 3-point shooting contest. Last thing I have, hold on. A couple of more things. One, when Jason Kidd first came into the league, they called him Ason Kidd because he didn't have a J, right? We're talking about a Hall of Famer, though, in Jason Kidd. Even though he didn't have a great jump shot, he was great at doing a lot of other things. And then later on, down the line, he developed the jump shot. And so that's what made him, to me, so dangerous. So, I mean, what if you do have a Jason Kidd-like player in Amen Thompson who's just going to take a little time to develop a jump shot? Remember now, he didn't come from a background where he is coming out of college working consistently with a shooting coach, or, even if it was just for 1 year. So you got to play him in a consistent spot. That's where you're missing Fred, because if Fred is on the court, Fred is the point guard, Amen is the 2, and Amen is able to identify his role, because you're going to have Fred, Amen, Alpi, KD, and Jabari. Now he's actually playing the 2. Now, the last thing that I'll say about this, and I will say quickly about Amen, because I don't want to get long-winded. This ain't Sports Talk with Big Sarge. This is
hey man, get comfortable, man. You at the crib. Come on, man. We good. Look, you good around here.
Now that I found out I ain't got to go to child support court. No. But B, here's the thing too. Because the Rockets don't have shooters on the floor, a lot of a lot of places where our men could dominate inside of the paint, even with the mid range, is too convoluted and it's too crowded because KD needs the paint, even though he can shoot the three, but he operates in the mid range game. We know he's one of the most unstoppable players when it comes to the mid range. He needs that. Alpi needs that. Jabari needs that. Like they got too many players who need the same spot. And it's well, whoever gets to it first. Well, if our man is coming from the top and he's passing and he's going to make a move, everybody is the defense is crowded in the paint because they know that you got multiple players who want to get to this spot. And so now what hinders him is he doesn't have any shooters to open up the floor. The only time the floor really opens up is when him and Reed Shepherd are in the game together. That's what I loved about what Rafael Stone said the other day about our men and Reed playing together, because that's how they play. They use a lot of, our men said earlier this season in a press conference that he uses Reed a lot sometimes as a decoy to fake like he's going to give him the ball. And then that, because the defense is so focused on stopping Reed shooting, it gets him to the paint. Now, if you add another shooter for the Rockets in that situation, now the floor opens up. There's more space for him to operate. So, B, I'm not gonna even lie. I'm one of the believers, and I know you've heard me say some crazy stuff throughout my our knowing each other and in my sports career. But to me, I feel like because of the way he plays on both ends of the court, I'm not saying he is right now, but you're looking at a player who could potentially be a LeBron James-esque player. You know how we always say, who's the next Michael Jordan? Who is the next Jordan? I think that we're looking at the next LeBron James in our man Thompson.
Look, man, LeBron James at this point is almost LeBron James is almost unattainable because he is doing things. This was weird about LeBron. Since he's doing what he's doing at 41 years old, every time he do something is, well, this is the first time a 41-year-old never done this or that or the third. And it's like, yeah, man, you know what I mean? Like every time it's going to be the first because we've never seen anybody play like that. So like that, I mean, that he is just so far beyond the rim. What he's doing right now is so far beyond like what my imagination even could have been for what a player could be, especially at this stage of his career. But a man is somebody that is 23 years old, a baby. Yep. Talking about a baby. I don't mean to disrespect. These are grown men, but like all of us been 23 before, right? And so we look back like, man, bro is 23. Boy, you got the world at your feet. Do you understand? Man. Okay. So like, and so I am bullish on his future. Okay. But my thing I will say about Amen Thompson as it relates to the Rockets, and this will be the case for him no matter where he was at, but specific to where he's at now, the Houston Rockets, I feel like what's most important, okay, individually for his game, I think it's refining that mid-range that we're talking about. The things that I think both of us like about his game. I just think it needs to get a little bit more refined.
Yep,
that come with experience, that come with repetition. I think this year helped him a lot. Even the fact that next year, Fred VanVleet will be back, and it should take some of that on-ball pressure off of him. I think the fact that he and Reed both were thrown into the fire the way that they were, that both of them should be better players because of it. But specific to a men, I just feel like you got to have shooters. I don't feel like you can afford to have a player that dynamic that's going to have the ball in his hand as much as he did this past year. I know he probably won't necessarily as much next year, but we'll see how the future looks. Everybody around a men got to be able to shoot. Like I'm not requiring Amen Thompson to become something that he's not and be a three-point shooter. I do want him to get better in that mid-range game and finishing around the rim, which I think he's going to be excellent at some point. But when you're drawing the attention of the defense, to your point earlier about how all these other players need that mid-range space as well, that to me is just as much of a conflict as anything, as much as like a men's game itself, right? Mm-hmm. Like to me, you need, and that's why I've done, not even trying to be messy, but it's the reason why I've done the men versus Şengün videos on my channel, because to me at some point the rubber is going to kind of meet the road here for two guys that are going to be as central to what you want to do, but both need to operate different kind of game, but operating in a similar space, right? Everything that Alpi wants to get is free throw line below, and mostly in the paint, in the post. Now he'll back you up all the way from damn from the 3-point line and spend 18 seconds dribbling the ball. But I would much rather see Amen Thompson do that from the wing or from the top of the key, and for him to be the one that's applying the pressure, and collapsing the defense and then getting it out to the other four guys who are shooters, right? I don't feel like you can afford to have two ball dominant non-shooting guys on the floor at the same time, and at some point I feel like a decision will have to be made.
Or just real quickly, or why not use their strengths? Why not use their strengths to be successful? Game 6 against the Lakers, the one thing that I hated that the Rockets ran over and over and over again was the two-man game with Reed and Reed and Alpi. Mm-hmm. I'm saying to myself, why are y'all running the pick and roll for Reed and Alpi? That's not going to work. But if you run that same pick and roll with Alpi and Amen, when Alpi comes to set the screen and he becomes the roller, now you got two players going downhill, and both of them can actually make the passes necessary to finish the play. So if you get the ball to Alpi, Alpi screens, he turns to get the ball. Amen's getting down here. Alpi turns to go downhill as well, or he's watching. I mean, we've seen the chemistry that both of them have. Or Amen uses the screen, gets down here. Alpi rolls to the basket. Now you have them being able to operate in the spaces that they need to operate in, and you're not wanting Alpi to stay up top at the top of the key and try to operate from there. So I feel like at some point, if you're gonna, if you know that you have, like you say, two guys who aren't proficient in shooting, then you got to be able to use their strengths to your ability. Am I wrong?
See, I agree with your premise, but this kind of go back to what you were saying earlier, which is a reality. Whether no matter how old school you are, no matter what kind of basketball you grew up with or in. This is the reality of the league now, Sarge. And look, you should see me and my dad. Like, I could go watch a game with my dad, and he can't stand it. All of this 3-point shooting stuff, and how they pass up the easy two for the harder three. But the reality is, when you talk about the analytics, basketball teams are playing a math game as much as they're playing a basketball game. I hate to say this, Sarge. I'm not saying it because I approve of it. I'm saying it because this is the reality in the world that we're living in now. But the fact is, even in the scenario that you paint here, you're still kind of limiting yourself to more than likely a 2-point shot, something toward the basket, something in the mid-range, or needing to kick it out to a shooter at some point. Right? Like at some point, you're going to have to figure out, and this was an issue for the Rockets this year, even when they shot the three well, and we remember this early in the season, when they were shooting threes as well as just about anybody in the league, their issue was they weren't shooting enough of them. This was a math problem for them, right? And they were still winning games, but despite their percentages being high, they just did not have enough guys that could shoot enough of them to keep up with the Joneses, to keep up with this analytically driven 3-point crazed league, everybody doing it. And so now you got to do it. And me and you don't like to be followers. We like to be either leaders or solo artists. All right. But I think in this case, you got to kind of follow the trend because you're competing. This is your competition. So just to keep up, you got to shoot a certain amount of threes and shoot them to a certain clip in order to just keep up. You think about that game where Amen had the 40, right? He had a 40 burger against, I think it was Minnesota. We were talking about this in the media room the other day. Amen puts up 40. Boys can't shoot threes. They could barely keep up in the game, And so at some point, the math is not going to be on there. That's why, to answer your question about the whole Reed, the Reed Alpi pick and roll, that's the threat that they're trying to have there. Like what I liked is when they run the Reed, Alpe pick and roll, but then have a man in the dunker spot, and it will wind up perfect because Alpe can pass really well, and his IQ is pretty good when he's on. Sometimes he does some silly things, but when Alpe is on, you get that Reed pick and roll. They're respecting Reed from three, even when he's not shooting it well, because Lord knows he did not shoot the three well at all in this playoff series. But they're respecting his jumper, okay? And then you get that pass to Alpe, you get a men running that baseline, and he is hell to keep up with, and just a better, like you said, a better athlete than probably just about anybody that's going to be on the other team. And it's Reed pick and roll, bounce to Alpe. Here comes a men running to the basket. There's the lob or there's the bounce pass, and damn, you got you a easy bucket. And that's something that I feel like they could have done. Not just the Reed Alpe pick and roll, but the Reed Alpe pick and roll with a men as the finisher, right? I thought I actually liked the way that looked whenever they did it. I just don't know if they did it nearly enough. So,
B, don't you got a team? Yeah. You got a team right now who bases their whole offense off of shooting threes. That's at home, and they were second in the East in the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
That's all Boston do. They want to shoot 50 to 60 threes, and now they at home. And I understand
they shot themselves out the series. You're right.
Right, with no Jason Tatum, I understand that, and I get that. But like, you're shooting all these threes, a couple of those layups, a couple of those allowing Jaylen Brown, other players to get to the basket probably would have, helped out a little bit more at the end. So I think that for me, I just feel like it should be. You know what? The team that's probably going to win it all to me this year has the healthiest balance, and that's Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City has the healthiest balance of shooting, playing to analytics, but by the same token, taking what's given to him. SGA is not a great three-point shooter, but he's about to be MVP of the league again, and I mean, he dominates in his space. Chet can shoot the three, but what does he do? He dominates in his space. Jalen Williams, I feel like these teams, they if you can find that healthy balance, and that's where I felt like the Rockets missed out this year, is because they did not have that healthy balance of can shoot the three and I put it like this too. If Tari would have kept on that, on that trajectory of being proficient at shooting the three, I think that would have helped out a lot too.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, and that's what they need, right? Like they need Tari. I mean, I think what he was early in the season was not going to necessarily be sustainable. I thought he was shooting a little bit over his skis a little bit, but then later on, it got, like when we talk about balance, he was up here and then he was down here, and he needed to be kind of like right here, and I think he's able and capable of that. I think we've seen enough from Tari to kind of feel good about him as a three-point shooter, and really the ups and downs of his game. I say it's way more positive than negative. So much to the point to whatever the negative is, I take it. But yeah, man, they definitely, I think they need to be like, not to oversimplify.
Yeah.
And maybe this is not a hot enough take. They need to be flat out better at everything. Right. Sure. Like they need to be outside of Kevin Durant, who I'll come to Kevin Durant here in just a second. But outside
and Jabari,
and Jabari, because Jabari, outside of Jabari's January, like early season Jabari, and post-January Jabari were excellent.
Can I tell you something real quick, B?
Go ahead.
Real quick. You know what was going on when Jabari was going through a slump?
Yeah. He had a baby.
He's about to be a father.
Yeah.
He had a lot weighing on him. Watch pre-baby and then watch post-baby Jabari.
Yeah,
he was going, when I tell you now, and I'm gonna put it like this too. Not only was he going through a lot as far as becoming a father, but there was some other family issues that he was dealing with. And I'm not talking about just immediate family. I'm just talking about family as a whole. And as a young man like that, you're trying to get a hold of everything, all the while, being a professional athlete. So that part. Then real quickly, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna shut up. You give our men the max. You give him, what is the 250?
250.
You give him the max because you paying him 125 on the offensive end and you paying him 125 on the defensive end, because this is a guy that should make a, maybe not first team, but at least a second team all NBA defensive team. I talked with one of the best lockdown defenders in the NBA a while ago, in Tony Allen. We know how former Boston Celtic Tony Allen would come in and lock people down. And Tony Allen said, hey, that I'm in, he said, hey, no, he called him to, hey, that twin y'all got, he said that twin Houston got, that boy is he reminds me a lot of myself, because he'll come in, he got that dog in him. And so you're paying him $250 to be a two-way player, especially when on the defensive end, you're not strong with Alpe's in the game, you're not strong when Reed's in the game. And so now not only is our man playing his man, but he's also at the corner of his eye looking to see who he has to help. When you go back and you watch some of the games, when you go back and you just break down some of the games, watch our men playing defense when Josh Okogie's in the game, and watch how he's playing defense when Reed is in the game. When Okogie's in the game, he doesn't even turn his head, because he know that Josh is gonna hold his man. When Reed's in the game, he's got to, okay, because I know that, because he knows that they're trying to attack Reed. A lot of the game plan was attack Reed. And so now he's looking, and then now he's looking this side, knowing they got to help Reed, but he also got to look this side, because, you know, Alpe's man may do something. So he's playing three different positions. So he deserves the max, because you're getting one of the best two-way players in the game.
Bruh. One of my favorite. So I saw a clip of Fred on with Tony Allen
out the mud,
and this was only several days ago. This wasn't that long ago, and I saw this clip. I looked into it, see what Fred was talking about, and they was asking him about Twin, and I love what Fred said, because like Fred saying it gives it just so much more weight and gravity, because I'm seeing some of the same things, but Fred is a championship point guard on the front lines of it, and is this guy's actual teammate, right? So he spends time with him. Man, Fred says, man, he don't even know what he's doing yet. What? and you can see that, right? You can kind of, that was what I was kind of getting at when I said, man, sometimes you go in there and you're like, I don't know if he know what he's doing. He just this boy, he playing, he hooping, he got instincts, he like he was born to hoop, but haven't really figured it all out yet. Bruh, Fred was talking about on defense, where the dude is already a all defensive type of guy, right? Yes. Where he's already elite, right? So he don't even fully know what he's doing defensively yet, much less on the offensive end of the floor, where he's even more of a raw talent. Once this guy figures it all out, I feel like it's going to be, it's an interesting conversation right now, because you and I both say give him the max. Most of the people in my comment section right now, and the people that responded to that video that I did, was like, man, you crazy. You don't give a dude that ain't got no jump shot to make. I get it. They don't have the foresight. They don't have no vision, Sarge. They don't have a vision. They can't see it. But I understand why they don't, because they're so conditioned now to watching an NBA game where you got to be able to take over from three, or you got to have the baggiest of bags, right? You got to have every trick up your sleeve. And the men just doesn't have all of that yet. But man, I cannot stress enough. I'm going to say this one more time before I move on to the Jabari I want to ask you about. To be this productive and to be this good without having these things, right? Could you imagine averaging 18 a game in the National Basketball Association, and you can't really hit a jump shot consistently? How good you got to be, how cold you got to be.
Yep.
And so the thought of that he could develop any of these things and become a better player, to me, is just worth the investment. Yeah. I do believe that. I could be wrong, and it ain't my money, so it's easy for me to say. but that's just the way I view it. You mentioned Jabari Smith Jr., who, late congratulations on the B Block podcast, since me and Sarge are here together. But congratulations on the extension to your family, fatherhood, let let the old heads know if you need any advice. I know you got plenty of men in your life, and you probably don't, but we all seen that, done that, and been there and done that, and all that kind of stuff. So shout out to you and your family and everything. But Jabari Smith Jr., I'm gonna ask this very simply: is this team, the Rockets, that is, are the Rockets maximizing Jabari Smith Jr.?
So coming into the season, B, no. Coming into the season, they weren't. And I can't fully knock Ime and his coaching staff for that. I can't. But what I can do is give credit to General Manager Rafael Stone. And what I mean by this is, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Jalen Green fan. I'm a huge Jalen Green fan. I'm a fan of Dylan Brooks. I'm a bigger fan of Jalen because I watched him, as he came into the league, covered him coming into the league since his rookie season. I'm a huge fan of Jalen Green. I hated to see him go. I'm a huge fan of Dylan Brooks. I'm a big fan of Dylan Brooks. I hated to see him go. But what what Rafael Stone went out and did was he brought in someone to be able to coach Jabari. He went out and got a player that has excelled to the highest level of basketball at his size and brought him in. And it's one thing for Jabari to work out with Kevin Durant, right? It's one thing for him to work out with Kevin Durant in the summer. It's another thing for him to be around Kevin on a consistent basis, watching the way that he operates on a day-to-day basis, both on the court and off the court. It's one thing, to watch his highlights or, like I said, get a couple of workouts in with him in the summer. He got an opportunity to see exactly what he could be and what his potential was. And I know that bringing Kevin Durant wasn't the popular thing for a lot of people here, to get rid of Jalen and Dylan. But what they did was, I felt like bringing in Kevin Durant, he unlocked Jabari and Jabari's, the potential. He helped bring Jabari's potential to the forefront. And now Ime and his coaching staff are looking like, oh shit, this is what we have in Jabari, because KD walked into the door and said, y'all not using him properly. We watched them lose a 7-game series last year to the Golden State Warriors, where all they did was put Jabari in a corner. And I'm saying to myself, there's nobody on this court for the Golden State Warriors that can stop him if you allow him to operate, but you're putting him in a corner, and now you're making it easier for an all-star cast to just play him. I mean, you're looking at Steve Kerr, one of the best coaches in the NBA. Hey, if Jabari just gonna stand right there, then we're gonna focus on taking Jalen out the game. Since if you're not gonna use him, then oh well. And so this is gonna sound weird, but I did not want Kevin Durant to get hurt. Of course, we know we're not. But one of the best things that probably could have happened to the Houston Rockets and to Jabari Smith Jr. is Kevin Durant getting hurt. Because once Kevin went down, Jabari knew that he had to be the player. He had to be the vocal leader, both on the floor and off the floor, and take that next step up. And now you got the coaching staff saying, yeah, this is what Bar. We've seen it time and time and time again. And B, I'm gonna tell you something, right? I'm gonna tell you something. Nobody's ever heard this, so I'm dropping this on the B Block podcast.
Let's do it.
Right? Exclusive on the B Block podcast. When KD first got to Houston, one of the first things he did was played Jabari and another player in one-on-one, right? He bust both. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, of course.
He bust both their asses. Bust both of their asses. B, not once, not twice, but consistently in every game. He bust their ass. And then you know what he did after he bust their ass? He set him on the bench, and then told them exactly how he was able to beat him. When KD got up to walk away, you know what Jabari told him? Oh, that's cool. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll see you right here tomorrow. came back, and they just, you know what I'm saying? So that's the type of that's the type of thing that you get when you bring in a Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant's looking at a player that he's watched Jabari since high school. And so with that being said, coming into the season, I don't think that they utilize and use Jabari to the best of his ability and what he could do. But I think now and heading into next season with a healthy Fred VanVleet, now Fred is going to be, I got 2 7-footers that can pretty much do the same thing. Hey man, let's run it. Let's go. And so I think that next season we'll see Jabari Smith Jr. take that next step, maybe become an all-star.
Yeah, I think we'll see how it looks, but I think Jabari is the one out of the young group that is probably not being talked about enough, because I think it's easy to fixate on Sengun because of the 2-time All-Star, focal point, blah, blah, blah. I think it's easy to fixate on Amen Thompson because he might be the most intriguing player because he's such a unique player. So Sengun, Amen, Reed Shepherd is their most recent draft pick. And also, I think a controversial pick because they obviously passed on Stephon Castle, which most people objectively would say at this point was probably not the right thing to do. Like, even if, and I'm about as much of a Reed. Come on now. And I'm about as big of a Reed supporter as you'll find in some of these streets, you know, because I think it's up and down on Reed. But like, I don't know how you can know ball and not prefer Castle at this point, right? So like, I would just be lying if I said I didn't prefer him. But so because of that push and pull, you got a lot of people fixating on Reed. And of course, with Fred being out and Reed having to step up, him and Amen having to step up, a lot of the fixation is on Reed, Amen, Sengun. And then, of course, you got the contract situation with Tari Eason. What are they going to do with that? I think a lot of people are thinking about that. And then Jabari, it seemed like folks have either just decided he is what he is, whether they like it or not, or I don't know, maybe I don't want to like create a straw man argument here, but it seemed like people have kind of just given up on the idea. It was year 4. So like, oh, he just is what he is. He's not going to develop, without like really paying attention to how much better he got throughout the course of this season. I know game 6, you know, nobody really covered themselves in glory, right? You're not going to use game 6 as the example for anybody. Like if you want to use that, then blow the whole thing up. You don't believe in nobody, right? If you want to use just game 6 as your only antidote. But if you take the whole season in its totality, I think Jabari Smith Jr. arguably showed the most growth. And I would even say is the one that I'm most, I don't know if I'm looking for excited or intrigued, but I am curious about to see what is he going to look like in year 2 with Kevin Durant. And then I'll just call it another year with that confidence built up. I feel like he showed, here's what I'll say. I think he showed more this past season than he's ever shown in terms of his game and just like what he's able to. And he did have that rough stretch. I know people are going to point to that. And as we talked about, he was going through stuff off the court that likely, I believe, factored into all of that. But again, take it all into account. I feel like he showed probably the most growth, and I think you're right on it too about like the impact of Kevin Durant and what that meant. I mean, there were the reports early about how he had attached himself to the hip, his workouts, and he wanted to soak up all the game, all the knowledge that he possibly could from being around Kevin Durant. But I think just even specific to Jabari himself, man, like his game really grew, I think, on both ends of the floor, right? Like I'm loving what I see when they go small ball and he's there small ball 5.
He loves playing the 5 too.
Man, I am a fan. I am a fan and am in support of all things Jabari Smith and his development on this team.
Bro, B Scott, KD taught Jabari that, hey man, when you rise up, it ain't too many players in this league outside of, you know, Victor Wembanyama or Chet Holmgren that's gonna block your shot, Rudy Gobert, and that's because they're taller than you.
Right.
So you ain't finna raise up that high over them. But there isn't too many players in the NBA that once you get to your spot and you rise up, there's not too many that's going to stop you from shooting. And that's what look, KD doesn't see any other defender on the court when he goes to shoot. He just shoots. Hey, look, here I am, bam. Let me shoot. Here I am, shoot. So that's the one thing that I think that Jabari, and once he learns how to dribble a little bit more, look, when you bring up that comment, is once he learns and KD teaches him how to, dribble a little bit more for his size. Like, of course, Jabari can dribble. Jabari is proficient enough to get to the spots that he needs to get to. But when you look at KD, they say KD is a guard in a 7-foot body, right? And so he's going to teach him how, this summer, teach him how to dribble more effectively to get to his spots at his size and his stature.
I say this one last thing about Jabari is that, I think another lasting image for both him and, first of all, I think him and Reed's development are just key. If they're going to be on the team, they got to be knocked down. And Stone said this when I asked Rafael Stone about, man, how y'all going to add this shooting that y'all talking about, right? Like, you got Ime over here talking about how they need more shooting and how they need less of guys, less duplicates, guys that do all of the same stuff and need more shooting. But we're also looking at the roster, looking at the money that's allocated, looking at just the lay of the land. This kind of the team for the most part.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, where is your path to adding this shooting? And Stone's answer more or less was, we'll look at the back end of the roster, but also our expectation is that Jabari and Reed go from good to great. Go from good shooters to great shooters. And they are going to have to do that. Go ahead.
Just real quickly, B, I just wish some people would pump the brakes on the criticism towards Reed Sheppard. And the reason why I say that is, man, the man only been in the league for 2 years. 2 years, B.
Barely.
Last year, he didn't get – look, last year got sent to the G League. Now, you understand that's his rookie year. Like, this is his first full season, so he's going to take his lumps and bumps and bruises. Like, I get it. You can criticize. I'm not saying not criticizing, because every player that plays in the NBA is open to criticism. But I'm just saying, like, hey, take some of that into account, where this young man just played his first full year of NBA basketball, which is the same thing I say about Amen Thompson. When he first came into the league, remember he had that ankle injury in summer league, so he didn't start the season, and then he had that upper respiratory infection that kept him out a whole lot. So by the time his rookie season actually started, he was already behind the 8 ball. And then you have him year 2, and now you have him in year 3, and we can see the development in the way that he has been able to change over that time. So I'm just saying, man, maybe we should just give Reed a little time.
So I'm glad you said that, because what I was leading into was I was going to point out how mistakes, going to game 3 for a second here.
Ooh.
All right, and I'm not doing this to pile on. All right, I'm going to hold brothers accountable, and I'm going to give them some grace at the same time, because I think that's what
I might pile on.
I think this is what's required, though. Look, what Jabari did at the end of that game, and what Reed did at the end of that game,
terrible,
cannot happen. And I think we rightfully, as a community, Rockets fans, Rockets media, Rockets Twitter, the basketball public at large, everybody that watched that game unfold, okay? And it's the playoffs, so everybody's watching. Rightfully held their feet to the fire for that moment, right? Jabari, bruh, you cannot let Marcus Smart punk you in that way in that moment, okay? Not calling you a punk, saying that you got punked in that moment and you shouldn't have.
That was horrible.
Because Jabari got dog in him. Don't get me wrong, but in that moment, that was not a good look. All right, and he know that. Reed Sheppard, all right, that's LeBron James you dealing with, bro. You dealing with LeBron James, Marcus Smart. You dealing with some real dudes, okay?
And LeBron's basketball IQ is so high, bro.
Man, you gotta give up that ball, or at the very least know what you're dealing with. Cross over to the other side quick. You know what I'm saying? Like, put that ball in the other hand quick, because he coming for the back tap. Reed Sheppard himself, his best defensive play is the back tap himself. So as bad as those moments were, I do feel like they're going to be flashpoints for these guys in their career once they do finally reach their potential and they are whatever it is, whether they become the elite shooters that Rafael Stone drafted them to be and wants them to be or not. I think they're going to be much better than they are right now. And we're going to look back at those moments as teachable moments for those players because they were unacceptable in the moment, but also
Sure.
something that I feel like those guys can learn from that experience and say, you know what? I ain't gonna do that again. That's
Yeah.
not gonna happen to me again. Or when I'm in this situation, when the moment is big, I'm going to be ready for it. And so, as bad as they were, I think that in the long run, just like some of this Fred VanVleet stuff, having to figure out life without him, not ideal the way it looked, but
Yep.
I think ultimately it's going to be good for their experience. Okay, you mentioned KD. I'm gonna ask you this: what did you think of KD's season? I'll just say before I throw it to you that I thought it was an incredible season. I could not believe, even though I, have seen all the KD movies and understand who KD is, I could not believe how durable he was. I mean, he was exactly as advertised in my view. What did you think of the season that KD had? And we talked about this a little bit already with Jabari, but his impact on the team overall to you was what?
Amazing. Because without no point guard, you're putting your hopes and dreams of succeeding in the Western Conference on a player who is entering into his 19th year of basketball,
Yep.
who has had some injuries in the past. And you're saying we're depending on you to be able to play all 82 games to get us to the promised land to help lead some of these young guys to the promised land. And that's exactly what he did in the regular season. He put this team on his back. He put the Houston Rockets on his back, and he carried them, helped carry them to, a fifth seed, which could have potentially been a third seed. Like we look at Oklahoma City, and we look at San Antonio, and of course they had 60 plus wins on the season, if I'm not mistaken. But you look at who was number 3, and that was the Denver Nuggets, and the Denver Nuggets had 54 wins.
And they're at home now.
Exactly. And the Houston Rockets had 52 wins. So now you go back and they don't blow their lead in Minnesota. They don't play terrible in Chicago. They don't lose those games to the Sacramento Kings. They don't give up. Let's not forget, B. They were up 22 points on the Pelicans and lost that game in New Orleans. Like
one of their worst losses of the season. Yep.
Exactly. So a couple of games here and there, you say, hey man, they're up there in that third seed, and we're looking.
And how about them? Not to cut you off. How about them back-to-back losses to? I think it was Boston and Charlotte.
Oh,
I think it was at home.
Hold on, Boston with no Jaylen Brown or Tatum.
Yes, because it was like it was like Pritchard and Derek White and Ron Harper and cats like that was cooking them. Now the Celtics are a machine. I gotta give them credit. I know they're home now, but it was like, damn, they losing to the Celtics G League team.
Hey, don't forget they lost to the Warriors G League team too. They had 4 G League players on that floor at the end of the game, and they lost. They lost that as well. So you look at some of those games and you say, hey man, a couple of wins here and there, they could be exactly where where the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets was, and that's what Ime talked about all the time. He's like, man, like we left a lot of wins on the table this year, and so you got to look at it like this: coming in, of course, with no Fred, then you lose Steven, and now you're really depending on Kevin Durant. And I said this on my show the other day, B. My late wife, when I started dating my late wife, she had 4 kids from a previous marriage, right? She has 4 kids from a previous marriage. And so now I'm walking in. The oldest is 12 going on 13. The youngest is 5 going on 6. So now I'm walking into a situation where they've got things already established. And whatever the relationship they had with their father, I don't know. I didn't care. I'm like, hey, I'm not here to badmouth your pops. I'm just here because I love your mama and I want to, and I want to love y'all too, right? But B, on any given day, the chemistry was not always there. I'd walk in the house sometimes and 2 would be glad to see me. 2 other ones would probably be like, F you, Brian, I can't stand you, you black son of a beep. And then now that I got these 2 on my side, and then I'm like, okay, so what's y'all issue? Now I handle this issue. Now all of a sudden, one of these. So all I'm saying is that I walked into a situation where I didn't know the chemistry or the vibe, since that's the buzzword around the Houston Rockets these days. I didn't know the chemistry or the vibe. So all I tried to do on a consistent basis was just survive and keep the machine rolling. Kevin Durant walks into a situation with the Rockets as the player who is showing up to take the place of, now think about it, Jalen Green was a lot of those players' best friend. Like, they loved Jalen. Jalen was their guy. No matter what, Jalen was their guy. They got to know Dylan. They loved what Dylan brought. But now you got 2 key pieces that got you to the 2nd seed in the West last year. Now they're gone. You got Jalen, who is like, the logo is still, the dunk man is him, right? Now he's gone. Now, you're looking at, now you got to walk in, you got to look at Alpi, you got to look at Jabari, you got to look at Tari, you got to look at Amen, you got to look at Reed, and you're like, hey, man, I mean, I know y'all know who I am. Y'all been watching me since y'all was in elementary, and now we teammates. I ain't here to take the place of your best friend. I'm just here to walk in here so that we can win games. And so as he walked in, they had to develop that chemistry to get to where they are. So I would say amazing. I didn't mean to get long-winded on you, B.
No, that's good, because look, I agree, man. I thought a big reason why the Rockets were able to survive the issues that they ran into, obviously the Fred injury early and then the Steven Adams injury in the middle of the season, they needed that constant, man. Like, you and I are both fans of Jalen Green, both were around for his entire Rockets tenure, and I think there were a lot of for people who weren't necessarily connected to it, there were a lot of misnomers about Jalen Green and the type of player he was. Dude was a good teammate. Dude was a hard worker. Like, there were literally, like, other than the consistency of his play, like, there were no complaints about Jalen Green as a professional here in Houston. So, like, I will reflect on that experience actually pretty fondly. The playoff series notwithstanding, I understand that it wasn't good enough and all of that. I think overall, the 4 years that he was here, I will reflect on fondly. That being said, there is no arguing against Kevin Durant's consistency versus anybody else that they could have had in that situation.
He's gonna be an all-NBA player this year, B.
Come on now. All-NBA player, was almost a 50-40-90 guy. When you talk about analytics, that's another one of the buzz analytics, is the 50-40-90 thing.
QBR.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But KD, he's an analytics god. He's an eye test god. There is no prism in which you can view basketball either as a nerd, jock, or somewhere in between, to where you cannot view or understand the greatness that he brings. Now, some of those turnovers, whenever they would blitz him and them not always having answers for that would be his own thing. If you want to try to poke some kind of hole in this game, all right, the 6'11" 2 guard isn't a perfect point guard.
Right.
Sue the man. Right. Kick him out of the league. He
knows how to shoot over a double team, not pass out of one.
Exactly, man. I mean, the brother K, even superheroes don't have everything in their bag. So, exactly. But that being said, I pulled up this comment that D Skills had, where he says, I just hope the KD usage rate is lowered next season. The minutes he clocked this season was crazy. I don't have his usage rate. I didn't get that deep into the numbers, but I do know he played a lot of minutes to this point. And I'll say this, man, this is a criticism that I don't know who to aim it toward, because I feel like this is just kind of what the situation dictated. So, we do a lot of finger pointing and blame gaming in this business, but I'm not trying to do that here. I'm just going to state a fact, or my perspective on it is what I should say. What I loved the most about the KD trade when they made it was that I thought this wasn't going to happen. I thought, I was like, man, they bringing in KD, but they not gonna have to run them into the ground because they got all of these young guns, and they're gonna be able to sort of manage, not like load manage in the kind of pejorative sense, but like they'll be able to manage KD properly because he got enough support around him for them to not have to do the very thing that they ended up doing, which is what I did not want to see. So I bring that up just to say that I agree, that I hope that there's enough around the team to where he does not have to, usage rate or not. The minutes is really the is more so the point. It's like I don't need somebody my age leading the league in minutes. KD at 37 don't need to be playing the same amount of minutes as Amen Thompson at 23. And Amen Thompson is an Energizer Bunny, an anomaly physically. Like those things do not even need to be close.
All right, well, hold on, B. Play email Doka for a second, okay? Play email Doka for a second.
I can do that.
You say to yourself, okay, KD's minutes is getting up there. I don't want to have to play him as much. Okay. But when I take him out the game, the offense goes to hell.
Yeah, no, he ain't no choice. Yeah, no, I agree.
So how like it's like
that's why I said I wasn't trying to blame. That's why I said I wasn't trying to blame.
No. I know I'm saying, like, so I'm asking you, like, how do you fix that though? Like that's a hard fix. Like I took him out the game, we had a 10-point lead. Now I'm putting him back in, we down 6.
Can I tell you what the fix is? And I don't know, like, we are not in control of this fix. This is just my theory and what I think needs to happen. But the fix is literally what Rafael Stone said.
Yeah.
It's, hey, man, like, we like our young players. You and I just spent a good minute praising Jabari for the season that he had. But all of that being said, the fix is going to be Reed Sheppard, Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith. Those 3 guys specifically are the ones that I'm looking at being as good as they were, as nice as they are, being even better. Like, you need to be able to go stretches where Alperen Sengun I'll throw in there too if he's going to be a part of the plan and everything. Like, these guys just the exact point you just made. The offense goes to hell when he's out the game. Well, damn it, it just can't. You know what I'm saying? It can't, like, it cannot be that. Now, maybe part of that is the whole backup point guard issue, right? I know that's a big hot button topic. Like, okay, get you a backup point guard, get you more shooting, right? So if they have more of that, okay, better play from the highly drafted young guys, and we'll throw Sengun in there, even though he wasn't necessarily as highly drafted. They traded up to get him, and he's become a 2-time All-Star. So those 4, not, and no disrespect to Tari, because I think Tari plays his role properly, but specifically, I'll even point specifically to Reed, Amen, and Jabari. All of them just raising their game up a little bit more.
Yep,
just a little bit more. That's what it's gonna happen. That's literally, to me, it's a non-negotiable. Excuse me, it's a non-negotiable. If this team is gonna go from here to there, how do we avoid running in what's gonna now be a 38-year-old Kevin Durant? Avoid running him into the ground. To me, that's what it's gonna take.
And I'm gonna say this too, because for as much praise as I gave Rafael Stone earlier in the show about going out and getting Kevin Durant, yeah, a lot of that is your fault too, by not having the bench well equipped enough to be able to sustain when you got to pull Kevin out, when you got to pull Alpi out, when you got to pull these players out. And I mean, you're looking at hoping that defensive-minded role players, and that ain't no shot at those players coming off the bench, but when Reed starts, the only person that you have coming off the bench that's offensive minded is Tari, and of course Aaron Holiday, because he gonna let that thing go. He gonna fire it up. But you have a Dorian Finney-Smith, who I don't think was healthy until the playoffs, and so you got a unhealthy player coming off off the bench, and Dorian Finney-Smith. You got an Energizer Bunny and Jayshawn Tate. You got Aaron Holiday, who plays very well in spurts, and then you got a defensive-minded Josh Okogie. And like I said, if you're starting Reed You got Tari. If you're starting Tari, then you got Reed, but you don't have those players coming off. So now I feel like this year they have to go out and find players who can sustain coming off the bench. And that's why remember the other day when we before the press conference, we was in the media workroom, and what do we say? I said, "Hey B, didn't they have an opportunity to get Nikhil Alexander Walker? Is that his name from
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
from Atlanta?
Yeah, Atlanta. Yeah, it was Minnesota before.
Yeah,
Shay's cousin. Yeah.
Yeah, they had an opportunity to get him. They had an opportunity to get some other players that they could have brought in as well, right?
Yeah.
And so
Right.
that's where you gotta ask Rafael Stone. So what were we thinking in this situation when we didn't go out and we didn't get these guys?
Hey, look, I'm gonna say this in defense of Rafael Stone, which might even in itself be a controversial thing to do at this point. At the time, okay, easily in retrospect, I didn't even think about it until you said it the other day, like you said when we were in the media workroom, and you mentioned Nikhil Alexander Walker, and I was like, damn, I actually wanted them to get him, but only because this sounds so ridiculous. Now, this is a freezing cold take now, but at the time, I thought that Dorian Finney-Smith, coming off the season that he had with the Lakers, was going to be, I thought two things. I thought he was going to be out of the Rockets price range, and I thought wherever he was going to go, he was definitely going to be a starter wherever he went. And so coming to the Rockets didn't make much sense because A, I didn't know if they'd be able to pay him, and B, I didn't know if they'd be able to guarantee him the type of minutes that I think he had kind of earned based off of how he played with the Lakers, being a 40% three-point shooter, guarding the best. I mean, he was elite at guarding. They had like this weird stat about how he was one of the better defenders against all-star perimeter players. I don't even know how you look up a stat like that, but apparently last year for the Lakers, he was great at that. So I was like, okay, well, he's going to be out of the Rockets price range. They're not going to be able to get him, but Nikhil Alexander Walker should be right along what they're looking for. And it ended up Alexander Walker ends up in Atlanta, and the Rockets were able to afford DFS. And I was like, okay, well, that all worked out. But in my mind, I was thinking at the time that they could get Nikhil Alexander Walker, who I thought was a lesser player, for a lesser amount, and that would work for them. You know what I mean? And it turned out that he was the most improved and a better player, and that would have been perfect for them if that's
when did DFS get hurt?
Going.
When did he hurt his ankle though?
Yeah, it would have had to have been. I mean, he had the surgery in the off season, so like I don't remember him being hurt.
I don't remember him being hurt either.
So it would have had to have happened in the off season.
Is that something? Because I'm like, were the Rockets privy to that information before they signed him? And don't get me wrong, I like Doe. You know what it is? Even though I give him a hard time about being from Dallas, but one thing that I like about Doe, man, is that he gonna do whatever it is you need him to do, and he ain't afraid of nothing. He's not afraid of nothing. So you put him on the court, he's available. I mean, I'm sorry, you put him on the court, and every situation he's in, he's like, hey, look, this ain't something I ain't never been in before. So I like him, and at the time, like you say, you're looking at another defender, you're looking at a guy who could also hit the corner three, but you go out and you give him that type of money, and I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. What? Why? Oh, okay. I get it. I guess because he's also 32 years old, and that's the one thing. So, like on the Unguarded podcast, hosted by Big Sarge, along with Fred VanVleet, NBA champion, and Crash Out Quest. On the Unguarded podcast,
wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah. That's one of the things I asked Fred. I said, hey man, you're 32 years old coming off a major injury. What gives the fans the hope that you're gonna come back and you're gonna be playing to up to the caliber of what these Rockets fans are looking for? Like, it's like, I mean, at 32 years old, you're coming off a major injury. People just can't think, oh man, Fred's gonna come back healthy. It's like, you got older, you've been in the league for 10 years. And Fred looked at me and he was like, man, I'm in the best fucking shape of my life, hand over heart. So he was like, no, I am. And I was like, well, you're gonna have to come back on the court and prove it, which is the same thing. I'm saying that to say that I feel like DFS is going to have to do the same thing next season. And so both of those guys, older guys, has been in the league for a while, coming off of those type of injuries. You're hoping that DFS can come in and be healthy, and then you can push that, Alexander Walker, what could have been with Alexander Walker out of your mind, and focus on what the Rockets have in DFS and what they paid him for. But couldn't they have also had what's the young man's name that scored 40 for Minnesota against Denver? They traded for him from Chicago, right?
Ayo Dosunmu.
They could have had him, right?
They could have had, like, I don't know exactly, because he ended up going for like 2 seconds. I forget the exact but the Rockets got enough in a bag to where they could have had Ayo Dosunmu. Yes. That was the thing too, Sarge, of watching from the play-in to the playoffs. I mentioned the play-in because Charlotte didn't make it past that. But you had the Bulls throwaways and Kobe White making stuff happen for Charlotte, and Ayo Dosunmu making stuff happen for Minnesota. And I feel like there's somebody else that got dealt at the deadline as well that could have made an impact. But those are the two that stood out.
Chicago was tanking. They let y'all know it's a garage sale over here. Come
tanking, firing they people. Billy Donovan giving up on them. Like, ain't nothing good going on over there. All you had to do was just take whatever that they had that was valuable and put it to some use. And they just didn't, for whatever reason, see. Man, I think Ayo Dosunmu could have done wonders for this team as an extra ball handler, as somebody that could put the ball in the bucket as well. Kobe White, a similar thing. So, and look, we thought, a lot of us thought this at the time, and I think it's also easy to say in retrospect. Those are things that they probably should have done, like this idea. And I don't know how much they lean into this, but this idea that it was somehow taken away from Reed and a men's development. Nah, man, not one guy was going to take away from their development. Not one guy that was going to come off the bench. And these were two guys that were candidates to start for you. Like, and then we saw how it ended up playing out. Like, the backup guards ended up being, and look, no Aaron Holiday slander on this podcast. It will not happen. We will not slander Aaron Holiday. Jae'Sean Tate has become an OG for the Rockets, but like, just being real, those are not guys that ideally will be playing playoff minutes for you. So like, okay, it results in those guys playing playoff minutes for you. Did they hurt the development of MA or of Amen Thompson and Reed Shepherd? No, like, these are just guys that could have helped you, point blank, period. Not to say nothing about nobody's development. These guys are developing anyway. You're putting the ball in their hands, giving them all of this kind of trust. So I think that's something that they should have done and could have done and didn't do. So now we look up, and you're going to have to, like, just eat this season, kind of like take your medicine and hope that these guys come back, bigger, badder, and better next year, all healthy and together. So, and that being said, though, that's actually going to bring me to another point, something that I was going to ask you. Do you feel like, because I think this is what we got based off of our interaction with the head coach and the general manager on Monday, okay, that they like their young core. They would be fools not to like Kevin Durant. I know there are a lot of people out there that wanted to throw that out there. Did we see Kevin Durant's last game as a Rocket?
Right. Did Kevin Durant quit in game 3 by not being on the bench?
Are y'all smoking rocks? Like,
hot rocks too.
I'm telling you, man, let stay off the hard drugs, okay? And if you got a drinking problem or a weed problem, you need to stay off of that too if it's got you thinking like this. Okay?
Give up dark liquor.
I'm telling you, man, drink water.
Facts.
We need the internet to drink more water, okay?
Sure.
But my question to you, is this gonna be enough, Sarge? Like, and what I'm saying is, running it back with the same but healthier group, and then adding along the margins. We don't know what that's going to look like yet, who necessarily is going to be available to fill those types of Jae'Sean Tate, Aaron Holiday, Josh Okogie type of roles on the team. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like. But ideally, what it does seem they want to do is supplement those roles with shooting, and then to the point we were making earlier, rise up with those young players that did play a lot this year, and then you bring back those vets on top of that. They were very adamant about, and we were there together. Tell me if you sense this as well. They were adamant about, hey, it's not just add Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams to this thing and that'll fix it. I think they were very clear on it can't just be that. We need them back, but we also need these young guys to be better. And then we're going to have to add some pieces along the margins to help improve the shooting that we had. My question is this going to be enough? Running it back with the same group, but healthier and adding along the margins. Do you think that's enough to get the Rockets from where they were this year to being in the conversations of the teams that are in the semifinals now and with hopes of going to the conference finals and championship?
B, give me a second. I'm writing this down because I'm writing. I'm time stamping it so you can, because this is probably going to get clipped.
We are at the hour and a half, 1 hour and 30. And you one of the few people I know I don't even have to worry about messing with your time because
at all. B,
basically family here. So
I'm on vacation, man. B, I wrote that down because of okay. I feel like that it's a simple question with layers and layers and layers of responses.
Please.
Because one, and I think that you remember the question that I asked Ime about changes coming to this roster. I asked him after game 6 and he said it happened ASAP. And then in the exit interviews with him and Rafael Stone, I asked about what the dynamic of the team is going to look like next year, because last year, after the success that y'all had, y'all said y'all was going to run it back. And then you traded Jalen Green and you traded Dillon Brooks. This was after y'all said right in front of us and said it. You literally said in front of us and said y'all was going to pretty much run it back. And you didn't. You made changes. And so, B, I can't answer that question because I don't know what they're going to do in that front office. If you're asking me if they're going to run it back and just go out and add, no. Not if you're not going to add shooters, you're not going to be successful in the Western Conference. You're not. I mean, we could take a look at the game 1 between Oklahoma City and the Los Angeles Lakers. You've seen the biggest difference in that game is you didn't even have to have, shooters who were going to be effective. You just had to have them on the floor. So having Isaiah Joe on the floor, having McCain on the floor, having, Cason Wallace, who could, can hit the 3 as well. Having Chet Holmgren on the court who could hit the 3. I just got to give you the appearance that I can hit the 3, and then I can do anything else I want. If they don't go out and give the appearance that they got a shooter on the floor outside of Reed Sheppard, then no, we'll be right here talking about the same thing again. So the reason why I time stamped it and I clipped it up is, in order for them to do that, B, they're gonna have to give up one of their key assets as far as their young players is concerned. One of their young players is gonna have to go in order for them to be able to get the type of player that I think that they need to. Because Kevin Durant has one more guarantee. I don't want to say he has one more year on that contract, and then that 3rd year is a player option, right?
Yeah.
Which he's going to buy into. But by that time, he'll be pushing 40 years old. And everybody's not LeBron James. And so you want to capitalize on that. You want to capitalize on the time you have left with Fred. Do you want to give up a lot of your young pieces? No, you don't. You drafted those guys. You want to build with those guys. I never thought that the Houston Rockets would give up Jalen Green, but they did, and they got back an all-time great in Kevin Durant. Reason why I say that too, B, is I don't think the Rockets have no money, right?
They don't.
Even if you're losing Jayshawn Tate. He was on a 1-year contract. You're losing Aaron Holiday. He's on a 1-year contract. You're losing Jeff Green. Like the contracts that they're losing is not enough to go out and bring in a big name free agent, even though I don't know who what big name free agents are out there, but But B, they don't have the money to go out and get a player, that won't push them into would that push them into the second apron if they go out and get a big name player without giving up one of their younger players?
Yeah, I have to look at it, but they have some restrictions.
Yeah.
No, am I still here? Yeah. They got some serious restrictions. Like that's no doubt about it. They got some serious restrictions. Like to your point about gonna have to move one of their guys, and I'm seeing here in the chat people mentioning how the big hang up at the trade deadline for either Ayo Dosunmu or Kobe White was that they would have had to have traded Tari Eason and maybe a first, and maybe it was just they were gonna have to give up way more than they were willing to give to get those guys, and that was the logic at the time. I would argue though that look, I love Tari. Okay, I'm not trying, but I would argue that when Ime Udoka talks about some of this crossover or duplicate talents and things like that, that Tari is a candidate for that. As much as I like having him around, and then also the fact that he is also about to be is a free agent now, and
restricted,
so
right?
Restricted, so they can match it, but it's still just the idea that is somebody that you could lose for for different reasons, right? But like to me, that was worth weighing. Hey, like we got an opportunity here. Western Conference looked like it probably belongs to Oklahoma City, but to make ourselves as competitive as we possibly can be, and looking forward to the future, that's maybe something that they should have thought a little bit more about. Like, it's not like, I don't know, it's not like having Tari Eason was gonna be the difference in them being, the 5th seed and the 2nd seed or first round in conference finals, right? Like he was not an untouched. I'll say this too, not to ramble, but they don't have, as much as I like the young core, the uncomfortable part about, and I'm not advocating to trade anybody specifically right at this moment. What I'm saying is, by the time you got to the end of this thing, and especially with the disappointment that a lot of Rockets fans have right now, I don't feel like they got untouchable players. Like I wouldn't trade him in. I wouldn't trade him in. I would not trade him in. Okay, just being clear. He would be my untouchable player. But given all of it, okay, he could probably be gone for the right price. Sengun could be gone for, I'm talking about for the right established superstar. I don't feel like there's anybody. I'm not saying that that the Rockets are thinking about trading these guys, but my point is, nobody was so great where you could just be like, where you just hang up the phone automatically. I feel like you got to at the very least listen and consider almost anything, and really more so talking about at the trade deadline
you got to trade for a player to be that. If you're going to give up your young talent that has developed over time, you can't go out and get an older player for a short, I put it like this: you can't put a Band-Aid over a shotgun wound. You see what I'm saying? Like you can't you need a gauze, right? So you can't just go out and say, "Ooh, let's trade." Prime example. Hey, let's trade Sengun for Giannis. Okay, cool, right? However you feel about Alpi, whatever the case may be, I'm not here to go back and forth with anybody about that right now. So you trade him, and then you're going to bring in Giannis. Well, how much more basketball does Giannis have on his body? I understand that he get what he brings to the table. I'm not knocking that part, but how much more basketball does he have on his body? And now you're depending on 3 older players to get you to the promised land where you're gonna, and if it doesn't work out, now you're back in rebuild mode again. Also, be real quickly, something that we when we was talking about this young talent, I'm saying to myself, I wouldn't give up on my young talent so early. What I mean by early is, for a lot of these players, when you look at Alpi, when you look at Jabari, when you look at Tari, like those 3 players came in a time where the Rockets was actively tanking. So that's a free fall. That's just like going to the court. Hey, bro, Y'all go hoop. There ain't no plays, ain't none of that. Just go hoop. Try to win, but if you don't, it's okay too. Hey man, we ain't really, it don't matter. We trying to get we tanking for Victor. So we just trying to get Victor. So now you get rid of them, and now you bring in Ime, and now he's finally developed a type of structure. So now you're saying to yourself, man, we finally getting these players to be where we need them to be. We're finally getting them to develop to where we need them to be. But at the same time, we need something. So once again, now that I asked you to play Ime. Now I'm asking you to play Rafael. Like, are you going to give up one of these, or are you going to find a way to make the books work to go out and get somebody who can play like that?
Yeah, I think the big challenge is that you still got to build a team around them. Like I think Giannis raises your floor and ceiling more than Şengün does, but that you still the issues that.
But he needs that space too, B.
That's what I'm saying. He need that space too, and he needs shooters around him, right? Like the issues that we're talking about, even though now you got a better player, which I think is the significant piece here, but also significant is that you still need to build the team around him. Like that, those issues are not solved by just simply bringing in Giannis. That part is true. Here's my pushback to the whole not giving up on the young guys so early. And I hope I'm not arguing against myself because I like the young guys a lot. But I do caution, and I wonder if both the Rockets front office, media, and fans are doing a little bit too much romanticizing of the future and what the future actually looks like. Like to me, there is somewhere in between of saying, hey, these guys haven't reached their full potential yet, but then also trying to project what their full potential actually is. And then trying to say, okay, do I think whatever that looks like is ultimately championship level? Or is it better than what these guys could bring me? Like let's say a team centered around KD and Giannis, and then me putting shooters and complementary players around that, like just building up of what we got left. Does that give me a better shot in the next 2 to 3 years than, let's say, a Şengün, Thompson, Reed Shepherd team over the next 7-8 years? I think that's a legitimate debate because Kevin Durant and Giannis, we know, are all-time greats who are still playing at all-time great levels versus these other guys who are really good young players who are not quite sure what their ceiling is yet. So, like, to me, that's a gamble either way, and there's a legit case to be made for either one. But in my mind, I caution and worry that there's a little bit too much, just because we've all been here through this process. We've all watched these players get drafted and grow and have grown some kind of attachment to this process, that maybe we're over romanticizing what the end game, because to me, that's the question you always got to be asking yourself.
Ain't that what San Antonio doing?
Where is this head? Hey, here's the difference. I think their court, I think those young players are better. Like I hate to do it. Like you painted me in a corner there. You put me in a corner. I didn't want to do that. See, I did not want to do that, Sarge. And then you threw San Antonio out there as if I don't know, and as if you don't know. Watching San Antonio, bruh, that young core is better. Now, a big part of that, okay, is because they got Victor Wembanyama. All right, like but they also got dogs at guard, and those pieces around him already fit like a glove. They have already. I didn't want to do this, but they have. They have already. The Spurs have already passed the Rockets in the developmental timeline, not just because of their record, but because of what it looks like out there on the court, man. So that's a tough comparison because
you got a Hall of Fame coach. They've Popovich that's still around.
I'm just saying they've already answered the questions, man. They're a lot of their questions that the Rockets still have been answered in San Antonio, unfortunately. Same thing with Detroit. With their young core.
But Detroit don't have shooters. That's one of the. They don't. They have Cade Cunningham. They got a dominant big man, and they got the other twin.
But see, see, Cade Cunningham is their KD. Except Cade Cunningham is 24 years old. You know what I'm saying? So like the superstar here has an expiration date. The superstar over there does not. Plus the stuff around now they still need to add shooting. Their roster is not perfect by any means, but when we talk about the developmental timeline, these teams that started building their teams around the same time and started making picks around the same time, Detroit, Houston, San Antonio, Dallas is behind you with Cooper Flag right now. They still behind you, but I'll be damned if they catch up, right? Let them start building something around there. So like
they ain't got no shooting either.
They ain't got no shooting either. But you know, if I don't know what Kyrie's gonna look like or how, like what the future is with that. But like certain teams have done this quicker than others, and the Rockets are somewhere behind the ones at the top, unfortunately.
B, I gotta disagree. And let me tell you why I gotta disagree.
You don't think San Antonio's young core is better than the Rockets?
I think that San Antonio's young core is coached and developed better than the Rockets players.
Well, that matters.
Even when they were going through their tanking for Victor season, they still had guys over there that was being developed because Greg Popovich, that's what he does. I mean, look at you know, you look at the guy that he is. I can't think of the name of that coach right now, but I mean, he groomed him to be the next Greg Popovich. And so,
Mitch. Yeah, Mitch, Mitch, whatever his last name is.
So
Mitch.
With that being said, I'm not taking anything. You know, Castle is my guy. I don't know how long Victor Wembanyama. I would make him the MVP this year. I would give him MVP. I just don't know how long he's gonna stay healthy. But when you got Castle, they don't have Ron Harper Jr. They got
Dylan Harper, bro, the better one.
Yeah,
that's the better one. That's what I'm saying.
They got Dylan Harper, and then they got Vassell, right?
Yeah, Devin Vassell, yeah.
But here's the thing too, though, B. Like they have a good team. They have a good young core, and see now and then you add. I just got San Antonio fans back on my side after my takes on Unguarded.
And then they got De'Aaron Fox in the mix. I know he don't count as a young core, but as they vet. Yeah,
but they don't have a bench really either, though, B.
Ooh, does Keldon Johnson come off the bench?
He does, but I mean, how much can you depend on Keldon Johnson in your future? Like, how are you depending on these guys in the future?
Well, let's do this. Man, I hate to do this, man, as I wear this Rockets t-shirt.
It don't matter.
I hate to do this, but man, look. Think about it. Let's just go to top 3 of their young core. Let's call it. I'm just gonna call it this: Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, and Dylan Harper. I would take that. I'm just being honest. I would take that over the equivalent of the Rockets young core of Alperen Sengun, Amen Thompson, and then I'm gonna say whether you want to throw Reed or Jabari, probably Jabari based off of accomplishment. They might go Reed based off of projection, but either way, I think I'm taking that core. And Vic is doing a lot of the work there, but Dylan Harper is gonna be nice. Stephon Castle, we both already like and acknowledge is nice. I would take that, bro. I would take that over, and that's just the top 3. That's not adding in whoever you leave out between Reed and Jabari, and then add Tari in there, and then for the Spurs, it would be like. After that, it would be like Vassell and I don't know, whoever else you want to throw in there.
Hey, clip this up too. I mean, I get it. I understand. Victor is a walk-in, like I mean, his nickname is the Alien. He is the walk-in mismatch, the misnomer. That young group in San Antonio is amazing. I don't know if I take that young group over Charlotte Hornets young group. I think Charlotte Hornets have a better young group than the San Antonio Spurs do. Con Knippel can shoot. Brandon Miller gonna give you whatever you need, and you got a freak athlete in LaMelo Ball.
Hey, look, I'm still taking the Spurs over there, but I'll tell you this. Back to the point, I take that over the Rockets too, though. Yeah. I would take both of those young cores over the Rockets right now.
All I'm saying is that when you got B. When you and I was growing up, we used to have to wait on the meal because it had to be cooked. Mm-hmm. Right? We just talked about crockpot meals earlier, right?
Yeah, we did.
So in our day, when you hungry, you better make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich until mama get through cooking. And that ain't gonna be for another 2-3 hours because everything is gonna be made from scratch, homemade. It's got to be cooked or baked, right? Now, if you hungry, you can have you a meal in less than 30 seconds. You can have you a meal in less than 2 minutes. You got the Instapot, you got the Instapot, the air fryer, you got the microwave, like you have the instantaneous. So all I'm saying is that yes, right now, cool. Who knows what the Rockets young core is going to be and what we'll be talking about in 2 or 3 years. We could be saying, damn, they went out and they got such and such, and now look at them. They have, became this team. Because I like I say, the biggest thing in this, and when it comes, especially when it comes to San Antonio, and even though I know San Antonio played good without Wemby when he was hurt too. They played good. They played a lot of bad teams too, B. But when they was on that winning streak, they played a lot of bad teams with a lot of bad records. But I still say I'm still giving. I will say San Antonio has a very talented group. I'm still giving the Rockets the edge. And the reason why I say that, B, is because the Rockets played, their young group played the whole season without their leader. Imagine what this young group could have been if Fred and KD was on the floor. Like they play without a point guard. Right? You just talked about De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is a really good point guard. So they're playing with a guy that can, like they had nobody to put him in spots.
Yeah, an all-star point guard. Not just good, very good. An all-star point guard.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you seeing that in the chat?
Yeah, man. Look, so
is that true?
Yeah, I got a notification in the middle of this episode. I had to put my glasses up on my head now, man, because I got so stressed about that. Like,
I know we get ready to talk about the Texans, but like,
yeah, nah. I mean, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but we did. I got the notification, and looked like the Athletic, ESPN, all of the the usuals. Carlos Correa. Let me go ahead and find this real quick. We doing this live. Carlos Correa out for the season. I think they said he got a torn ligament of some sort. Torn ligament. Yeah, man. I saw that about a few minutes ago. Tried not to break stride, but I mean, again, when it rains, it pours, bro. I mean, not to be funny, but this does fix their infield influx problem. They're trying to figure out what to do with Isaac Paredes because they ain't had nowhere to put him. Well, glad they didn't trade him because now they're gonna need him to play third base. Because Carlos Correa is out of there, man, and Correa
is this his last year of his contract?
Ooh, I thought he had one more. I can look that up real quick, but I say, man, Correa, like you and I have both been around Carlos Correa quite a bit. This dude is like, I'm talking about ultimate leader, ultimate clutch player, and somebody that honestly is kind of being wasted on a team that ain't talking about doing nothing. Like that was another thing. It's like, man, you bring back Carlos Correa to play on a team that like has no chance of making the playoffs. No chance. All right, so Carlos Correa, he's got another couple now. So he's under contract. He signed because that's right, man. The Twins, I don't remember this, but after he signed kind of that prove it deal when he first left here,
yeah,
they ended up signing him to a 6-year, $200 million contract.
Who got 6 years, $200 million?
So no, he's on the books and he will be getting paid.
Hey, Carlos 30 what?
Correa. I don't remember that.
How old is he?
Well, this going be 31. This gonna go into his age 37 season.
Damn, you giving him all that money. You didn't want to pay Kyle Tucker. You know what? That's when Pena coming back.
Kyle Tucker. How about Kyle Tucker was at least how about Alex Bregman? You know what I'm saying? Because they could have got him for way cheaper, and that would have been their third baseman right there.
bro.
Like,
and he wanted to be here too. But that's my thing though, B. I'm just like, and I like Carlos Correa. That's my guy. Talking about a team that's about to go through a rebuild. But I don't. You know what?
Yeah, it's time. Oh,
I don't follow the Rockets. I mean, the Astros like that no more, man. I used to. I watched the Astros for the first time. Well, I've watched a couple of games this year, but I watched this series because Kyle Tucker is back. I watch when they play against Toronto because I like George Springer and Miles Straw. But man, once Dusty retired, I was like, me too.
Well, look, this all you got. This all you need to know. This all you need to know is for it, and this is kind of related. You know, with Dusty's retirement, the guys in charge right now are in lame duck situations.
Spada and Brown.
Spada and Brown. When you talk about rebuilding, it's gonna be somebody else in charge. Like it's rubber really finna meet the road, bro. Because Spada's in the last year of his contract, and in case you haven't noticed, they are not good enough to justify bringing him back on a new contract. Dana Brown is in the last year of his contract. And, you know, I root for brothers as general managers and all of that. You know, I was hoping that he'd do well. However, they are not doing well enough to justify bringing him back. And so I suspect if not even at some point during the year, certainly at the end of the season, they will have a different general manager and a different manager and a whole different direction, and probably will be starting all over.
Hey, a spot about to get the Jamal Mosley treatment. We're like, we don't give a damn if you win the World Series. You gone. You don't give a damn what happened. But hey,
be out of here.
I'm gonna say this, and only you will probably know what I mean by this. That's why you got to be careful what you ask for. You got to be careful. You got to be careful what you ask for, and be prepared for when it's given to you. All that behind the back stuff, behind the scenes stuff to get what you want, and now look at you, Alex Cora Jr.
And also treat your legends with respect. I'll say that. Treat your legends like they be legends. Is that fair? Is that fair to say? Is that fair to say? All right, so we done this a couple hours. I just want to just kind of rapid fire real quick. We're gonna have rookie mini camp practices at the end of the week, Friday, I believe. So this might be something that we could revisit in the coming weeks. Maybe go a little bit more in depth when we have more time. And again, I appreciate your time doing this.
Hey man, I'm here.
So the most recent thing with the Texans was the Azeez Al-Shaair contract extension. Of course, Will, about a week or two before that, got his contract extension. And you know, a big talking point with the Texans, as you know, is the future of CJ Stroud. Not like, I don't think it's like, is he going to be here type of thing, but like, when is he going to get this contract more than anything? So I want to get your reaction to those contracts and the ones that they signed and the one that they have not done yet as well. So like Azeez, give me your thoughts on Azeez, Will, and then what do you think is the path moving forward with CJ Stroud in his situation?
Will, Azeez,
and CJ.
Hold on, and I'm only writing it down because hold on for a second, B. All right.
Ooh, hey, that is fire.
Look,
I couldn't pull that off, but that's fire though. Good for you.
Look, now that we're talking about, that was for the Rockets segment. This is for. So with that being said,
it's a fire ass hat. Damn,
bro. And I just so happened. I'm gonna tell you off air where I got this hat from. I like it. I got it because it says H-Town on it.
Yeah. You got me feeling silly in my 2018 free t-shirt that they leave on the bleachers, that they leave on the seats for you when you buy a ticket to the game.
All right, B. So hold on, I got that, and hold on.
Run is one.
And I got this one too. I like this one too.
Oh, well, let me see. Oh yeah, that's fresh. I like that.
So B, I'm gonna put this hat on because I tend to talk more better about the Texans when I had this hat on. So first, shit. If they could have gave Will more money, I would have said give him more. Will is the one who deserves to be. He made All-Pro last year, right?
He did.
The year prior, if he doesn't get hurt in October against the Jets, remember he got hurt in the Jets game. That's the day he found out that he was defensive player of the AFC defensive player of the month. AFC defensive player of the month. And then he gets hurt. But if you look at his stats, he was on a trajectory to be all pro 2 seasons ago. And then last year he is by far one of the, I put it like this. We talk about giving Amen Thompson a max contract. Will got everything that he deserves, and he probably deserves more. I ain't gonna even lie. If I was Kyle and Hannah, I was like, hey, look, we reached out to the city of Houston, and they approved that we're going to give you your own, we're going to give you your own Russell Wilson. Some people don't know what that means. That means that when Russell Wilson was with the Denver Broncos, he had his own office. You know that, right? At the facility, he had his own office. We're going to give you your own office, and hey, man, whatever you decide, decorate it however you want to decorate it. We don't care, man. But this is yours. We call this the Will Anderson suite.
That's wild. A motherfucker that wear cleats and shoulder pads to work got an office,
bro.
That's crazy.
Let me tell you something. I ain't gonna even lie. I'd have probably asked if we could rename Kirby to Will Anderson Jr. Drive.
Second in defensive player of the year voting as well, by the way, just only behind Myles Garrett. So that kind of tells you a lot of what you need to know as well.
And he's just getting started. He's only in year 4. He's only in year 4. And when you go back and, because coming into the draft, there was a lot of people who had a lot of criticism towards Will Anderson Jr. They didn't think that he could be this. They didn't think he could be that. There's no possible way he would have been a top 5 pick. Even if it wasn't the year of the quarterbacks in Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, people was like, well, I mean, even if I had to pick, I still not picking Will Anderson Jr. You know how many people criticized the Texans for taking Will Anderson Jr. at number 3?
Yeah,
I'm sitting there saying, hey man, are y'all watching? Like y'all really, y'all are not watching. And B, this comes from a young that young man at his football camp last year. I got an opportunity to speak with his Pee-wee coach and one of his best friends, who is the high school coach at the high school they played at. B. Will used to cry every day because Will always played up. So he always played with the big boys, and he would always, they would like, and his best friend, Kevon, knocked snot out of his nose on numerous occasions, but he was a bigger kid. But I'm saying all that to say that one of the things that his dad told me at that camp was that's what made Will who he is, because every day he'd show back up. Even if he didn't want to, he wanted to show back up because he wanted to prove to everybody that he belonged. When they won a national championship, one of the first people he called at 2 a.m. was his Pee-wee coach, and saying, "Hey man, I did it. We won a national championship." And the coach told him, "Man, that's amazing, but we ain't gonna be done. Your path and your career won't be done until we put that yellow jacket on you." He's like, "You're right, coach. I gotta go. I gotta work out in the morning." So I say that, and I use that backstory to say that this is a young man that both on the field and off the field, he has high morals, high character. He comes from a great family background. He is a guy who does the right things all the time, and all he wants to do is get better. I mean, you look at who he came in with. Jonathan Grenard said, "Hey man, he's one of the best guys I've ever seen play this game." He took him under his wing and was a big brother to him. Then Sheldon Rankins was the big brother to him. Then now you have Danielle Hunter, who's the big brother to him. And now he is the one that's becoming the big brother. Remember last year, he said, "Man, this is my 3rd year. I'm starting to feel, they starting to call me Unc around here." And so I say all that before I even get into talk about the accolades and just him, on the field. When the rankings came out last year, they ranked the top 100 players in the NFL right now. And I forgot what Will's number was, but they were in Greenbrier, and we were there for training camp with them. And when I talked to Rod Wright, Rod said, "Man," he said, "You know why? One of the reasons why I hate that they put this thing out, because now Will gonna look at it and say, hell no, it ain't this many players better than me. And so now he gonna be thinking about that. He said, but it's also gonna motivate him to get to where he is. So as I digress, you see, I can talk about Will Anderson Jr. the whole a lot. So Will deserved this contract. Azeez deserved his contract. I could say the same glowing things that I said about Will about Azeez. They both deserve to get the amount of money they had, especially overcoming the adversity. But not only that, just for the who they are in the locker room, just who they are as players on the field, but who they are as in the who they are on the field, but who they are in the locker room, who they are away from the field. I don't know if you remember this or not, B, but you remember and during that rookie year, Will came to the podium and we were talking about, just talking about him being there. This was happened to be, I guess, like mid-season, maybe a little bit towards the end of the season, when Will said, hey man, one of the things that me and CJ made it a point to tell all the rookies is, hey, when we come into this facility, we're gonna speak to everybody. We don't care what their job title is. We're gonna speak to everybody.
Yeah, I do.
And
I do.
As a rookie, he's saying that. You look at Azeez Al-Shaair. What did he say the other day in his press conference? Hey man, I'll be talking to everybody around here. It don't even matter who it is. I don't care. They said they look up and they look up and Azeez may be talking to one of the ushers for 10, 15 minutes. You like, what are you over there talking about? So I say that to say that they got two high character guys in Will Anderson Jr. and Azeez Al-Shaair, and I will shut up and let you talk about him before we talk about CJ.
Nah, man, I think that was well said, honestly, man. Like, just well put in terms of, like, ideally you get a player that can do both, that can be high character, high value, off the court or off the field, whatever the sport is, but then also bring it on the field. And I don't know if I've ever seen a more perfect mix of, like, specifically with Will, I'll point out, like, this type of guy that you would let date your sister or your daughter, depending, whatever the age situation is, whatever is age appropriate there. You would let him do that, but then also on the field, like, ready, just a monster, ready to take, just snatch your face off, right? Like, that balance that he sort of is able to rock with is really impressive to me, because a lot of times they tell you, man, defensive linemen got to be crazy.
Yeah,
they got to be borderline, insane. Got to be somebody that you're kind of scared of, that you think might, toe the line and maybe even cross it a little bit. I don't get that with Will at all. Like, he is, like, all in on the field, max effort, incredible ability, and then just like this really good dude, seemingly, like, Will Anderson Sr. and the sisters and the aunties, and the family. Even
and he a mama's boy too. He's
like, they did an incredible job. They did an incredible job with Will Anderson Jr. On top of the fact that, like I said, second in defensive player of the year voting. My only criticism of him after his rookie year was like, man, Will Anderson is hell with that bull rush, but this brother needs some moves. And then what did he do? Bro got him some moves, right?
So Micah Parsons and defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett.
Yeah. And you can see how that work has manifested itself. So shout out to him. Azeez has been just as advertised. Like I thought there was a little bit of, I didn't think this, but I wondered if he would have a little bit of like a teacher's pet element when he was brought in the whole DeMeco connection, and if that would be more of a, hey, this is just somebody I'm comfortable with and I worked with before, and we got a good working relationship, but do the ends justify the means of this being your nah, man, forget that.
And B, you talk to him at his locker and he's just like, hey man, what's going on? Man, blase that. And then they get on the field, he's like, I'm about to knock somebody the fuck out.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like their ability to juggle those two things of being like a genuinely kind and nice person and a genuinely insane and scary football player, I feel like is exactly what you want. So good with that. I don't know if I necessarily saw the Aziz. Maybe I just wasn't thinking about it, but I don't know if I necessarily saw that extension coming. Or maybe I should have and just wasn't as locked in as I should have been. But once they did it, I was like, oh yeah. I mean, that seems like a no brainer. So yeah, no, I think those are important moves. I would say, put it this way, those are well-deserved moves on what I thought was definitively the NFL's best defense last year, and those are the obvious leaders. Will is the best player and a leader, and Aziz is a very, very good player and a leader. Those two together, the leaders of that defense.
And you got to look at it like this too, especially when it comes to Aziz. He's also helping educate the next batch of Houston Texans linebackers. You know, there's a lot of people who didn't, there's still a lot of people who's not, too fond of the way that Henry To'oTo'o plays. But I'm one of the people that's like, yo, look at the impact that Aziz has had on him. Look at how he's, able to play and how he's taken his game to the next level. You got spoke with Jamal Hill after the Aziz press conference, and he's like, man, he be in the room and it's almost like he's taking over the linebacker room. He's taking over the linebacker meeting because everybody's listening to what he has to say. And you look at him and a mixture of a guy who's been in the league for a while and EJ Speed to help out as well. But Aziz is one of those guys, man, that he leads by example. Jamal Hill was saying, he's complaining sometime, and Aziz told, hey man, shut up with all that complaining. Just go out there and play. That's all you gotta do. Just go out there and play. And I mean, you taking it. You can't tell him he wrong or try to come back at him, because Aziz came off of what, an ACL and an MCL coming out of college, went undrafted, and now he is where he is today. What is it? 10 years in the league for him? Is it? No,
not 10, but it's getting there. Eight, maybe 7 9. 8.
Okay, so but
it's
yeah,
getting there.
You look at that. So
he was there in the early D'Amico days when before D'Amico was head coach, right? Because D'Amico was his linebacker coach.
Yep.
So you got to go back that far.
So yeah, so he's been here 2 years. He spent 1 year with Tennessee, and he spent a couple of years with San Francisco. So with that being said, B, we talked about Will, we talked about Aziz. I'm gonna defer, if you don't mind, because I'm interested to hear your point first before I make mine when it comes to CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go first if you want me to.
No. I'm trying to make sure that I didn't have anything else that I wanted to say on Aziz and Will before I moved on. I might have forgot whatever it was, but we said enough. That is those are signings that make sense. Now, CJ Stroud, okay, here's where I'm at on this. Like, I was as critical as anybody after the playoff performance. And I think that, and especially when it comes to this topic about paying him and all that kind of stuff, I think what I've done since then, after some time to calm down and really think about it, it is a similar argument with CJ as it was for me with Amin, in terms of you're not just paying. This is not a conversation that you just have based off of the production that you've already seen. Now, obviously, CJ, I think you can argue, has been even more productive than Amin has, because CJ is the leader of the team that the leader of the offense of a team that has gone to the playoffs in 3 consecutive years. The leader of the offense of a team that's finished in the top 8 of its sport in the last 3 seasons, and did that in all of the first 3 seasons of his career, right? Was a Pro Bowler, was the offensive rookie of the year, his rookie season. So, like, you could argue he's got even more accomplishments and production relative to the sport than even Amin does. So the case for him is even stronger. But where I would say is similar for me is that I'm not just doing it based off of production, simply off of production. That's part of it, but not just off of production. Because I think if you did that, you could do an unfair, lopsided, and I think I was doing this at the end of the year. All right, I'm just going to admit, I was guilty of this at the end of the season because it was rough.
Football or Rockets? I mean, Texans or Rockets?
With CJ.
Okay.
Specifically with CJ, the way that season ended, okay, in the playoffs and the turnovers and all of that. I think if you want to look at it and say, nah, man, it got to the playoffs this year, man, turned the ball over a lot, and I just want to see him prove it more. Like I think you're doing a disservice to the projection of what, because you understand what I'm saying here. You're paying money for what you think this player is going to be worth to you for the life of the contract going forward, not just for what they've done for you in the past, especially on a second contract. Maybe on a guy's third contract, you're paying for both his production and the projection, right? Hey, this guy is, this guy's Kevin Durant. He's an all-time great, and we think he's going to be great for us for the next 3 years, right? So he costs a certain amount, plus we got to, we're paying. We feel like it's worth it based off of what we feel like he's going to do for us going forward. In a second contract, it's not as much simply what has he done already, but what do we think he's going to do? What do we think he is going to be? And with the quarterback position, where it's a little bit different, is like, do we think we're going to find, what is our pathway to finding a quarterback that is as good as or better than CJ Stroud?
Yep.
I ain't got it. I don't have that pathway. Maybe y'all are more thoughtful and creative and smarter than I am, and plenty of you are. I'm not saying
franchise quarterbacks don't just fall off trees.
It'd be nice. It'd be great. That would be great. That would be a great thing. Just, there's a franchise quarterback there. There's a franchise quarterback here. Doesn't work that way. Yeah. So long-winded on my part, just to say, I pay the man his money. It's cheaper to do it earlier than later. So I would do that. I would say the counter argument is that the contracts of a first round draft pick are structured in such a way to where you can kick the can down the road or use another year to decide whether you're sure or not. Because to me, the argument against it is this, right? It all comes down to, what do you think CJ Stroud, are you sure or are you unsure one way or another, right? So are you sure that he is a franchise quarterback? Okay. Are you sure that he is not a franchise quarterback? Okay. If you're sure that he is, you pay him, obviously. Yeah. If you're sure that he's not, you don't. And it makes it very simple. Pay him or don't. I believe in him, I'm going to pay him. I don't believe in him, I'm not going to pay him. Very simple. If there's somewhere in between there, I think that is the rationale for giving it, because I already picked up his 5th-year option, of course. So he's going to make a lot of money on that 5th-year option. That would be the logic in, hey, let's do this one more year before we commit to it. And if we're sold after this year, then we'll be glad to pay more money than we would have the previous year, because we got our franchise quarterback and we're not going to penny pinch on that. We're just going to go ahead and pay him. Okay. I think the smarter move is, going back to my earlier question, do you believe or do you don't believe? I think it's more likely than not that he is a franchise quarterback, right? He's still got some things to clean up and all of that. But it's more likely than not that this guy is a franchise quarterback, and at the very least, like we just saw, I don't mean for this to be a shot at Sam Darnold, but we just saw the Seattle Seahawks win the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold and a dominant defense.
Pew, 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 pew.
Man, shit. I'll be damned if you tell me that CJ Stroud can't do what Sam Darnold did this year. You know what I'm saying?
So you're a numbers guy, real quickly. You're a numbers guy.
Yeah.
How much are you giving him? How much are you extending him for?
CJ?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to come under that. I'm trying to go below that 60 million. So if we start haggling on that number, that's when it's going to get a little hairy. But it's quarterbacks. I mean, quarterbacks lesser than him that's making 50. What does Trevor Lawrence make?
That's what I was just going to ask. Like, you paying Trevor Lawrence, you're paying Justin Herbert, and he's been way more successful than those two have.
Yeah. No, I think I'm trying to go around that number though.
What's the going rate? I wonder. I don't have those numbers in front of me. I haven't really taken. I've been in basketball mode so much. I haven't even taken a look at him. But
the thought is that you're looking at paying him upwards, because the cap increases every year Like that number goes up every year. So
Dak getting 60.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think you're looking
Is
at
Dak the highest paid quarterback?
I think he is. I'm pretty sure that Dak is the highest paid quarterback. And so CJ and more specifically, his agent David Mulugeta, who we are all familiar with, and who does not shortchange anything.
He ain't leaving a nickel.
Not a single
I would say penny,
cent.
but they don't make pennies no more, so he ain't leaving a nickel.
Not at all. So I got it. So I think that's where it gets tough too. Is the haggling? Is like, okay, do you really think $60 million? And then the Texans got this issue of, like, for the type of team that they trying to be. This is what I'm really curious about. Do they feel like they need a $60 million quarterback for the type of offense they trying to run? It feel like they just, you know what I'm saying? And this is not me talking. This is what I feel like they're doing. Okay.
Who is there? Who is they?
The people in charge, Nick Caserio, and even to some degree, D'Amico. I think as a defensive guy, do they think that if they just put together an amazing defense, fix their run game, their offensive line, that they can just get any old Davis Mills type of quarterback out there? And I just did that to make you mad. That they could just get any old Davis Mills quarterback out there and not have to pay somebody $60 million, and then they can go make that happen. I'm worried about that. That's not me talking, sorry. I'm worried. You talk me off that ledge, but I worry. Do they think that, hey, do we really need a fancy, how nice of a vehicle do I need? You know, I just need a car with air conditioning in it. You know what I mean?
They thought that David Culley could coach this team. They thought that what's his name? It came after David Culley.
It's about Lovey.
Yeah, they thought Lovey could coach this team. They didn't realize what they had. I mean, they didn't realize that they needed somebody until they got D'Amico.
Hey, look at this though. D'Amico watched the 49ers go to the Super Bowl multiple times. I don't know if they went to the Super Bowl. How many times did they go to the Super Bowl? Either way, they did have some random ass quarterbacks over there in San Francisco.
Yeah, but who was their offensive coordinator?
I get it. I'm just saying.
You think that Nick Caley
is Kyle Shanahan? Hell no.
Is equipped to take that team. And hold on. So if that's the case, then you're putting a lot on thinking that David Montgomery and Woody Marks is going to also be the Christian McCaffrey type. I'm asking, B, because
no, I don't think that. I don't think none of that shit charge. I think they need to go ahead and pay the quarterback. They need to protect the quarterback. They need to improve the run game, and they need to not mess around. Now, I do understand the business side of
Jimmy Garoppolo. That's who you want them to come in and run the offense.
I do think, like, on a serious note, I think CJ need to be the quarterback, but I do understand the logic of, hey, let's just wait a year. Quarterback is going to be paid handsomely. Let's hope he's not sensitive about it and doesn't take this personally. But let's just wait a year before we actually do it. I could see that, even though I wouldn't mess around with it. I would just go ahead and because I'm already sure. This is what I'm saying. I'm already sure about it. So I would rather do it now than later because it would be cheaper. If they are unsure, which I don't know what the answer is, right? They've been pretty coy with their answers. They say, hey, this is our quarterback and all of that, but there ain't no contract yet. So if they are unsure, I don't think it's the worst thing to do to wait one more year and then pay him. But then that would just be us disagreeing on being sure or not.
Yesterday's prices ain't today's prices.
It's a fact.
And either you pay him now or you're going to pay more later. Because if you're looking and you're saying, prove it, CJ, and then he goes out and prove it, then David Mulugeta is going to pick up that phone and he's going to call General Manager Nick Caserio and he's going to say, get Kyle and Hannah on three-way and let's go ahead and talk about how the new facility at Bridgeland is going to be called the CJ Stroud practice facility.
Yes.
Because he's going to want all the money. All of the money. I say that if you can, you do it now. Not only are you because you're going you got to show good faith as well. So and I get it, right? These people, when we look at CJ Stroud, right, and we look at, especially this last playoff run was not good for CJ, right? The last playoff game was not good for CJ. But on my show the other day, B, I talked about the New England Patriots game. Remember, I've said this on numerous occasions, said this for the last 3 years. The Houston Texans and the Houston Rockets are the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other.
Yeah, you do be saying that. Yeah, you do be saying that.
The Houston Rockets went into their first round playoff matchup without Kevin Durant, their number one option. They're all-star, they're soon to be all NBA player. They had to depend on a lot of young guys, a lot of inexperienced guys. What did CJ have when he went in against the New England Patriots? What was he missing?
Missing Nico Collins. Yeah,
his
man.
number one option.
Yeah.
His his Pro Bowl wide receiver could have been all NFL if some things would have broken the right way, but that's neither here nor there. You're missing your number one option. You don't have your offensive lineman. You lose Dalton Schultz early. That's not me giving an excuse to CJ, because CJ is the one who made those mistakes in the game as well. Though he made those mistakes in the game. But what I will say is, every year that he's played in the playoffs, and every year he's been in the divisional round in Baltimore, he didn't have any wide receivers.
None.
Kansas City, he didn't have no wide receivers. He had Nico. In year against Baltimore, all he had was Nico. In Kansas City, all he had was Nico.
And a worse offense, probably the worst offensive line of the whole group, or the whole time period that we're talking about.
So when you look at that, right? When you look at that, you have to ask yourself, and this is what I was getting to. You have to ask yourself, okay, so when it goes to evaluating CJ Stroud, and you look at what he's been able to do in the regular season, you look at, some people don't like his playoff record or whatever the case may be. Some people don't like the way he played in the playoffs. Fine, I got that part. But you know what CJ Stroud can be. You know the potential that he does have. And the one thing that he hasn't had, though, B, when it comes to when we want to really talk about playoff success, I mean, we know he's won 3 wild card games. He's lost 3 divisional rounds. But when you look at that, I take you back to the exact same thing that we talked about earlier in this show with our man Thompson. Consistency.
Yeah.
You're looking at a guy who the most consistent thing that he's had in the divisional round is that he hasn't had his offensive weapons that he needed, right?
Yeah.
And you throw in the fact too, last season, I mean, no Joe Mixon, right? So no Joe Mixon as well. So there has been no consistency with him as far as him having everything at his disposal. I would love to see CJ Stroud in the playoff game with everything. Then I'm like, okay, so however you come out of this game is how I'm really going to judge you. I have to give him a small pass for him not having Tank Dell and not having Stephon Diggs against Kansas City. You have those two and Nico Collins. You're probably playing that game at home.
Yeah.
So you don't have that, and you look at what happened. You go in prime position to beat the New England Patriots, even without Nico. But imagine what they could have done with Nico. So I want to say that there hasn't been no consistency. And I keep harping on this consistency point because I specifically asked Nick Caserio this question. The one thing that you all have had over the last 3 years has been consistency on the defensive side of the ball. How much going into the draft how much of a priority is it for you to find some type of consistency on the offensive side of the ball for CJ Stroud? Because CJ Stroud is going to his 4th year. This is the 4th iteration of offensive lineman that he's had. This is the 4th offensive line that different offensive line that he's played in his first 4 years.
Not just that, even more specifically, it might be his 4th different center.
Yeah,
You
right.
know what I'm saying? Then
Exactly.
we'll see what happened with it. But they just drafted a guy who might take the center spot.
Right. So you see that, B? So now he's on his 4th offensive line. He's on his 2nd offensive coordinator. That is unprecedented when you have that man. I think the only other player that's probably went through that as far as offense coordinator is concerned is Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts had multiple offensive coordinators, but you have him with Bobby Slowick the first 2 years, and now he's going into his 2nd year with Nick Caley. So in his 3rd year, where now because B, what do? You evaluate the quarterbacks in their 3rd season. The first season is their rookie season. Nobody really got tape but the college tape. You don't know what you're going to be. 2nd season, hey, you got some tape on them. Now we can throw some things at them. So you take the first season as an anomaly. You take the 2nd season as, hey, man, okay, so now they got some tape on you. They made some adjustments. That 3rd year is how you combine that 1st year and that 2nd year together. And now now I'm evaluating you off of year 3. I can't evaluate CJ Stroud off of year 3 because in year 3 he had another offensive line. In year 3 he had a whole new offensive coordinator. So they told CJ, everything you learned in the first 2 years, throw that out of your mind. Now you got to learn this, be proficient in this. Oh, all the while, yeah, here go your offensive lineman that we're gonna give you to play with. And although they played better, and I do believe that this past offseason that they've gotten better. But think about it, B. They went out and got 2 offensive linemen that lasted how long for the one of them didn't even Cam Robinson. How long did Cam Robinson play here?
I think he played 8 games. I think did he play 1 game or a couple games maybe?
All right. How long did Laken Tomlinson?
Not long.
Ed Ingram is the only one that stuck around.
Yeah.
But now you went out, you got them, and you saying like, so CJ is like, CJ coming to, if I had to play CJ, I'm coming to, I was like, shit, I don't know. Like now I gotta learn because Laramie know what I'm used to, but now I gotta put this rookie right here who gotta learn. He learned it in the NFL, but he gotta learn too. Oh, so Titus, but he played right tackle, but we're gonna move him to left guard now. Okay, so Titus is gonna be different. Now who playing right tackle for me again? Okay, so cool. And then wait a minute. Okay, so now you're playing. Oh, Trent Brown is back. Oh, shit, I ain't never played with none of these guys. Like a lot of those guys, the only consistency was who?
Jake Andrews. Hey, and look, Jake Andrews from by all accounts got the right attitude and is made of the right stuff, but apparently he's a little light in the ass a little bit for that position.
Senior Bobley made a good point. And now he got a new quarterbacks coach. You see what I'm saying, B? So like
it's a lot of turnover. It's a lot of turnover on that offensive staff, man. For all the stability, like what we was talking about earlier with the leadership and everything that Will and Aziz bring, and of course D'Amico, sort of the head of everything, and Matt Burke right there, right next to him. Like they all seem to work well together on that defensive side. Everything is humming over there between coaching, coordinating, and playing. And then it's the opposite on that offensive side of the ball. It's like, man, who's gonna be here today?
And B, you're right. And every year, that defense got better to the point where in year 3, they're the number 1 defense in the league, B. And they play like it, and you see it. As soon as they step onto the field, you can see that. When the Houston Texans offense step on the field, you saying to yourself, shit, I hope CJ can get him a touchdown. I hope Nico can do what he needs to do. I hope that this is gonna happen. I hope that that's gonna happen. I mean, think about this too. You had a rookie running back that had to lead them last year, and Woody Marks. So like there's
in a way outsized. I'm glad you mentioned that, Sarge, because I don't think there was any way that Woody Marks was supposed to be RB1. As much as they liked him, as much as I think we all like him, I don't think he's supposed to be number 1 running back, and then it ended up happening that way. Shout out to him too for being a dog and fulfilling that role that I don't think he had any business being in that situation.
And B, the way that I feel like Nick Caley gonna use him this year, man. I feel like Woody is going to be a bigger staple in that offense, especially now that you got your what you call what they consider the in between the tackles, running back and David Montgomery. Like I think that them bringing him in is gonna give Woody Marks more longevity in this league because he doesn't have to take the amount of hits now they're going to be splitting carries. But with that being said, B, we looked at what the Houston Texans defense became in 3 years. Just imagine if CJ would have had any type of consistency over 3 years, where the Houston Texans offense could have been, man. So at that point, I look at it like this. When you sit down, and if I'm David Mulugeta, right? I mean, I wish if he could just give me a tenth of his bank account, I'd be happy with that. But if I had to
Just
play,
give me one of your clients, David. Give me one of your clients. Just
right.
give me one. Give me one of your clients, bro.
Commission off one, bro. But if I had to be David Mulugeta, when I'm sitting down and I'm talking about these contract extensions, because the talk is going to have to be had. I know what D'Amico told me the other day at the golf tournament about, hey man, just let the contract's going to come. Just, continue to play, let your play dictate or whatever the case may be. All that's fine and cool. But when I'm sitting down, I'm David Mulugeta, I'm saying the reason why this price is because of all of the things that you've put my young client. You basically thrown him up against the wall and told him to fight his way out. Compared to on that other side of the ball, is the wall, and they just, you know what I'm saying. So I'm sitting down, I'm saying the reason why the number is this: you're not paying for what CJ has done. You're paying for what CJ could be, and you're also this number. Every time you look at it, every time the check is cut, it should be a reminder that we're paying CJ for this. Let's keep him some consistency because we want to win a Super Bowl. Bro, nothing would bring this city more joy than if they won the Super Bowl.
Man, you know what? I'm glad you dismounted with that because I'm excited to talk about this season with you, man. We're going to have to get you on, not even just when we get to the season, but in this off season, like I mentioned before, all right? In case y'all don't know, Big Sarge Media right there, B Sky here. You're gonna be there Friday, right, for the rookie minicamp practice, right?
For sure. I gotta be there. I got some things I need to see.
So I
gotta see some things.
So I want to do this. If not next week, hopefully sometime soon. Maybe we can come back and just kind of break down a couple of things I want to do. Want to talk about this offense. I feel like the defense is almost like, especially now that they got them extensions done with Will and Azeez, we know what time it is. Defense should be ready to wreck shop. Like, we just, no doubt about it, man. Boys is out there ready to ball. All right.
Yeah.
The offense, I feel like we need to talk about it. I feel like we got some things to discuss. All right. Because they got a lot to prove. They got a lot to prove on offense. Not just CJ himself, but the offense as a whole. Nick Caley, CJ, the line, the weapons, the whole damn offense got a lot to prove. All right. But then these rookies, I think I'll just say this before we get out of here, man. I like what they did in the draft. I'm not gonna like overdo it. They picked late in the first. The Caden McDonald pick, being able to get him in the second round.
I like,
what I'm saying? Pick. I think just be straight up, on a defense that I don't feel like really needed them. Like, I know that was supposedly their weak spot, the interior defensive tackle. They could get younger and more athletic, blah, 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 or bigger, whatever they want to do. I don't think they even really needed bruh. And they added them. It's going to be nasty.
Rank finna turn this boy into a monster.
I can't wait for Rankin to get his hands on him, man. Sheldon Rankin is going to finna get his cat all of the game. All of the game.
I feel like he's going to be our new Tim Settle Jr. in the locker room, too.
Hey, I can see that. Look, so
hold on, B. Before you
go ahead.
Well, to two things before you go. One, can you put that back up for a second, though?
Which one?
Eddie Jack. So I just want to say this real quick. He says, I agree with you guys for the most part. However, what about the missed opportunity with wide open receivers? And when everything broke down, you have a wide open lane to run for the first down. Eddie, first of all, thank you for the comment. Thank you for watching the show. Look, B, I'm talking like it's my show. Thank you for joining, for watching the B Block podcast. But let me say this, Eddie. I agree. I'm not telling you what you're saying is wrong. I think that you just there's some things that also may need to be added to it. So not to this, I don't want to say, I don't want to talk down on your point or discredit what you're saying because you're right. But you also had some of these open wide receivers who didn't catch the ball. Like Hutch could have made some catches. Christian Kirk could have made some catches, especially in that New England game. And then when you
and I would add, not to cut you out, I would add that the younger guys had to develop in their route running and their professionalism. Not like, professionalism is kind of it feels like I'm taking a shot at like their character. But what I mean is like that adjustment from college to pro. CJ was not able to rely on them rookie wide receivers early on in the season, and that was I think a developmental type of thing throughout the year. I think that ought to look much different this year. I think, and I'm specifically talking about Noel, because that's the speed guy, right? That I talk about their offense lacking speed, that being something that they really need. They got it with him, but they need to just be able to rely on him a little bit more to be exactly where he's supposed to be and to do some of the other little things that we don't necessarily look at in receiver, whether that's blocking or whatever it is. He's made of the right stuff as well, but I think there's a growth period that needs to happen there.
So my only pushback would be the only way that he could be those things that you just said he needs to be is you got to put him on the field. And I feel like Nick Caley and I feel like Ben McDaniels, because Ben McDaniels is the offensive passing game coordinator too, right?
Yeah.
Those two guys did that young man a disservice as far as his rookie year is concerned. I understand you're trying to go with Christian Kirk. I understand you think that Christian Kirk is the more experienced, but you missed out on an element on your offense that could have been in that game to help stretch the field. You can't play him and let him, do good one week, and then the next week you just reduce him to a returner. So, it's up to that offensive to the offensive side of the ball as far as the offensive coordinator, and the wide receivers coach to say, hey man, okay, Christian Kirk is gone, this, that, and other. We got to put you in, we're going to get you some reps and we got to get you some run. But here's the other thing though, right? And we ain't got time to talk about this, and I understand.
We'll be back.
But here's the other thing, and when we come back, we got to talk about this. How's he gonna get reps with Tank Dell coming back? On the next episode of the B Block Podcast. Hey, you just got to make sure that you make a promise that we will collab at least once a week, either on this show or on my show, but we got to give the people what they want, be at least one time a week. Oh, and real quickly, on that second part about there was open running lanes for CJ. Yeah, but he suffered a concussion.
Yeah,
that kind of plays in the back of your mind once you see a lane open. The last time I took off running, I was out for, was he out for 3 weeks?
At least, 3 weeks. Yeah, because Davis Mills started 3 games. Yeah, they almost decapitated, bro.
He finished Denver game, and then he played 3 games?
Yeah, so that's basically 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, so hey, that's all I'm saying. But hey, Mark, hey, you got to write this down. Where does Jalen Noel get his touches once Tank Dell comes back? And the reason I say that is because you got a big wide receiver, Nico Collins, that plays the outside. You got a big wide receiver in Jaden Higgins that played the outside. Tank doesn't like to play the slot. Tank is an outside receiver.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Are you gonna try to use Higgins in the slot some too? And not forget, hey, how Noel gonna get on there? Because you also got Hutch. Like there's a lot that we gotta talk about on the next podcast.
Hey, I can't lie, man. I'm excited about all of that, man. Look, as Senior Buble said, man, like, share, subscribe, not just to the B Block Podcast. Make sure you do that with the B Block Podcast to be sure. But also, man, Big Star Sports, man. Hey, go ahead and tell the people where to find, because you all over the place. I'm gonna stumble through it. So I'm gonna let the man himself tell y'all where to find Big Stars, and we'll get out of here.
You can find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Star Sports, the Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you're subscribed to the Texans Tailgate Talk All one word, Texans Tailgate Talk YouTube channel. And make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Star Sports with a Z at the end. Because you know we do everything for the gram.
And we out.
You know how he do it. Beast guy from Hiram Clark, do it. Beast guy from Hiram Clark, 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 Beast guy from Hiram Clark.